is WHONIX or WHONIX. What about Gen 2 WHONIX? Why didn't they just do WHONIX via Gen 2? You'll be too busy compiling instead of doing illegal activities. Get your kids addicted to Gen 2, and they will never commit crimes because they won't have time. They'll be thinking about how to compile Firefox efficiently. Mm-hmm. Okay. I should get Gen 2 on the ThinkPad and set up dist CCC or ice cream. Ice cream is SUSE's fork of dist CCC. Oh, I'm not aware of that. What is that? Interesting. Wow. Let's see. I thought Louis Rossmann did something on Freenet. Oh, it's Futo. Ice cream was created by SUSE. I know it's SUSE, I think. I think someone explained it. Some fat Linux guy. Was created on dist CC. Like dist CC, ice cream takes compile jobs from KDE and builds the distribution amongst remote machines, allowing a parallel build. But unlike dist CC, ice cream uses Essential Server that dynamically schedules the compile jobs for faster free service. To the fastest free server. This advantage pays off mostly for shared computers. If you're the only user on X machines, you have full control of them. The documentation used... Oh, okay. I'm eating ice cream now. Wow, how weird is that? Billy Bo Jenkins might be in your computer. So apparently, This menu cannot be loaded because its server network failed at the time. It is not supported. Come on. Don't be lame. Based. It's working. This is TOR. The based way to watch YouTube. Because it's using NVIDIA's. No copyright strikes here because this is all legal free work, right? Let's see if it works though. I've only used this with music though. Never video. Using a framework laptop is a cherry on the top. Put that cut. Pity they cut the Q&A at the end. Wasn't going to watch the recommended video until all of a sudden noticed the name of the channel. That's true. Let's see if I can do this. Maybe it'll load. Nope. Guess we have to use gay old BooTube. The crazy thing is, YouTube I used to love YouTube, like in a learning perspective. Like I would follow so many channels just to learn stuff, like just to listen, even if I wasn't going to proactively do it. I'll reject all this shit. Let's Futo. Not gonna watch the whole thing because I'm not a slop reaction contenter. You can choose a back end at the top of the website. Maybe one of them will work. Oh, switch back end. Maybe B5 US. I've never successfully watched a video besides me. I've gotten music where thought you said boob tube. I did. Or did I say you boob? I said something.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Oh my god, the resolution. Can we do can this achieve 1080p over TOR? Please. Wait, 720 is fine. I'm being greedy. At least give me 780. Oh Jesus, it's horrible. Horrifying. I'm being greedy on the TOR, the free bandwidth of TOR. Maybe this will work. Oh my god. This is why I fucking hate YouTube. YouTube should love bots. They fucking don't even care about them. Damn. Maybe if I do it in a new tab? Interesting.
Okay,
hell yeah!
Thank you everyone for coming. I think some of you may have seen my previous talk.
Real-time decentralized applications at scale. Fuck you, YouTube, for trying to debate me. Oh, already 100 messages? How? Oh. Whatever. I think ITP is still under attack. It might be.
And will have some familiarity with what I'm talking about. Others won't, and so I'll try to straddle the line between not boring the first group and not confusing the second group. We'll see how I do. In 2026, a handful of companies, a handful of large, primarily American companies,
I'll check real quick.
We can all name these companies. This contradicts the original design goal of the internet back in the 1970s, which was to create a highly survivable, decentralized communication network. The root cause, in my opinion, of this centralization that's occurred over the past 30 years started in the mid-90s with the...
It's from 2023.
...entered the mainstream, and particularly with the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is what's called a client-server architecture, and with the advent of the World Wide Web, the client-server architecture really came to dominate the internet. It didn't have to be that way. There were other...
It pretty much became just 4 apps, though. That's the problem with the internet now. It's just 4 apps. It's like you're like 4 to maybe 6 apps. 6 days ago, the DDoS as of 2 days ago, the DDoS attack is still going on and is expected to stabilize in about a week. And that was 2 days ago. So yeah, it's still. If you're using I2P C++ or I2P Java, the DDoS is still attacking. They're actually telling you to keep the route. The developers are saying via GitHub is to keep the routers running. Keep your router running to help keep the network decentralized. I haven't turned my router off because I don't necessarily care. I don't have a lot of high capacity and fast peers. Tunnel build success rate at 4%. I only have 10 tunnels. They're saying via GitHub, like a Git pull, is to just keep it running. I want to see where mine is at. Mine's been up for the last 12 days. I have 21 active peers, 129 fast. My tunnel, 2 out of 3 is built. Utility, 5 out of 6 is built. Total is 16. 17, 20, 20, 30 builds. Build success rate is about 11%. I mean, it sucks, but I would rather keep it running. Where's Not Bob? Wonder if it's still Reddit. I think Not Bob is still. Very low build success rate. A good connection is 30 to 40%. Interesting. They're saying keep it running.
Be old enough to remember Usenet, which was actually decentralized. But the World Wide Web really won that competition, and with it came the client-server architecture. And my contention is that the client-server architecture, by its nature, encourages and really requires the increasing centralization of the web. The consequence of this centralization is that governments now compete over who gets to censor the internet. We've all win.
That's true. As you should. And then you should run a TOR node next. A middle relay.
Particularly over the past 10 years, the growing censorship of the internet, both by governments and by corporations, sometimes acting under duress from governments. The goal of Freenet is to solve this problem, restoring the original promise of the internet as a decentralized and uncensorable communication medium. And my hope is, by the end of this talk, I'll have persuaded you that that's exactly what we've done. So, what is Freenet at a very high level? Where does it?
Are we talking about groups of services on the internet instead of the internet itself? I should put that. I should just copy that thing and put it everywhere. That talks about the internet. That'd be so funny. That'd be funny.
Fit in.
Well, technically, if we learned anything from how to build your own internet, the internet is really just a peer-to-peer system that allows access to other applications. Like, they have to consensually agree, like, hey, you want to visit, foot.com. I agree that you can, it's over there, and I agree that you're, not malicious or whatever, whatever the criteria is, and they can send you over there. There's a lot of authority for the internet and how it works. And I know some people, like, have this fear that they're in an uncensored internet, that we're going to have, more illegal stuff, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I could go on the list, but if you think about it, that already exists on the internet now, and it's very regulated. Like, the internet's very regulated, and you can just go on Facebook and find, like, bots that lead you to pages to find, obviously, what we consider immoral stuff on the internet. CSAM in general is what is most of people's probably concern. I'm going to modify the copy pasta and repost it on the Discord. And I think that people don't realize that not only it exists on the ClearNet, it exists everywhere. There's no need for a dark, spooky, underground, like, layered internet. You can just go to Twitter and find disgusting humans like this. You can just go into Roblox. You can go anywhere. So where does it become the point where you have to censor, like, everything? You have to verify everything? Is just, then there's no point in the free internet or free information, or just in general. So it does become a problem when we have an overreach of what governments consider safe and unsafe, kind of for me, not for you thing. Because remember, they are the biggest, largest holders of CSAM material legally to trap the people. However people view that is their business. But in hindsight, the government does not care. In reality, unfortunately, I think there are people in the government that might care, but they're going to be, no one's going to care what they think.
Freenet is designed to be a drop-in replacement for the World Wide.
Now, Freenet's been around for a long time. It's not a baby. That's the difference. So having something like this, it is cool, and we're going to check it out. We're going to check out some sites. I wish Gopher would have taken more like a bigger leap forward, or Gemini, or maybe Gemini. So it's kind of sad too, and the problem is with the word decentralized is if it still relies on centralized servers, it's kind of I don't want to say it's pointless, but it's kind of hard to get behind it when you have quote unquote decentralized services. And honestly, I hate to say it, cryptocurrency kind of put a giant stab into the word decentralized. Like, when people think of decentralized, they just immediately go to cryptocurrency. They don't go to the fact that, like, decentralized as a concept has been around for a long time. Obviously, Monero in its actual understanding of how it works, it is probably one of the most decentralized forms of currency. There is no company. There are no federal backing. There's no central authority. The code is free and open source. Is Freenet and easy to use and host to site as on ITP? We'll see that. We're going to check it out. And we're going to go over a lot of misconceptions of why people think that these kind of like frameworks uh, are going to protect you by default. Now I say no. It's actually harder to de-anonymize people on these networks than it is if you're like on the ClearNet. But people make they make so many mistakes in their forms of OPSEC. Is my general They make so many mistakes is that they get that's how they get caught. My general consensus, well, my general advice to people in perspective that are asking to how can I remain private? It's not TOR that's making you private. It's not WHONIX or Tails or all these things. It's your ability to have good, efficient OPSEC. Know what to use, know what tools to use, and know what information can leak you. Like the government doesn't care that you do end-to-end encryption. The government can get you basically off metadata. This has been proven in court. This has been proven in case files. This has been proven not in theory but in practice. The government only cares about two things: the metadata and the stupidity of like humans. Just like the feds can make 50 mistakes. They can make 50 mistakes. They can make, let's simplify it. They can make one mistake a day, 30 mistakes every month until you make one mistake and then you're fucked. They can mess up, 365 days out of the year. It just takes one mistake from you to, get yourself XYZ. And I'm not making the case for criminals. I'm making the case for people that are exercising their rights. So in, let's say, it becomes illegal to not show your ID, so you have to use these intranets, and these overlay networks and these routing protocols to be able to communicate with people outside of it. Like, think about the people in North Korea or China. They're committing a crime. Do I agree that their crime is punishable by death? Do I agree that their crime is horrendous and they should be just slammed into their own country and have no free of thought? No, of course not. I think these people should have the access to the internet just like anyone else. I think people should have the rights to be able to express themselves and have a form of like the First Amendment. The problem is, how do they do that when it's literally a crime? So, in order for them to do this, they need to have extreme OPSEC. Now, it's not me not wanting my ISP to know that I went to footfinder.com. It's like, if my government finds out I'm going to do this, I'm going to get hung or publicly executed. So that's something that I stress on people is, if you look at the countries where they don't have these freedoms, how can you apply the same logic to stay as private as possible so that when it does become illegal in your country, you know what to do. The internet system of computer networks, not services or groups of services, something on the internet itself, is decentralized as fuck. The internet is decentralized in its nature because it's just a group of like domain systems. I mean, there's ways to do it, to circumvent it, like some form of censorship. But the problem is the internet in itself is becoming, like, the services are in itself are becoming censored. Oh, what's going on, Evil Dojo? 666. We're looking at Freenet. Free as in free beer. Free as in FOSS. And why OPSEC is merely, people think tools are the ultimate end goal, but in reality it's operational security, knowing what tools do what and what don't do what, and metadata and other stuff, and pee pee poo poo. But the internet itself actually can be not decentralized. If you look at how the internet itself is peer-to-peer, if some of the largest people that own these sub blocks, from my understanding, these blocks of IP addresses and the authoritative CDNs and like DNS servers, etc., they can 100% take you down. I mean, look at Kiwi Farms. Kiwi Farms I mean, what I think Cloudflare turned off DDoS for them or something like that. And if hosting providers don't want to do it, gonna smoke and make a drink, and then I'll come back at yap at it. I've been digging into learning Rust for the few. Nice based. Now you will become triple digit IQ'd and memory safe. Gotta talk about the Discord and OpenAI situation. Yeah, I have my thoughts on it. I read it. I read some of it. I have a theory. I have my own theory. Cloudflare took down Daily Stormer as well. Yeah, and it's not. My thing is, I don't agree or disagree. It's not a matter if I'm migrated back to XFCE from KDE though. Boo! Just use OpenBox. It's better. School doesn't teach how to get user input in Rust. Billy's really heard about that one. The thing is, I don't like a lot of the rhetoric that these people put out. I don't agree with it. But my biggest issue is just because I don't agree with something doesn't mean somebody shouldn't have the platform to disagree with them. It's like if somebody goes out in public and says, mean, like, racial slurs to you or whatever, or just like inflammatory shit. I hate to say to be the guy to be like, ignore it, let them be a pile of shit, and that's really what it comes down to. It's kind of like when you're in a club and you have that guy that doesn't shout. I don't believe in censorship, even if I disagree with somebody's premise. It's kind of like this. Say you're in a club and that person doesn't wear deodorant. It's gross and it's somewhat affecting my stomach. You can just not interact with that person in the club. You can tell them to leave. You're like, hey, go somewhere else. I don't think that's censorship. But when you make it, if not impossible, for someone to have a platform, that is censorship. I think if you're a private if you're like a hostinger, I'll have to look at those. If you're like a hosting provider and you just don't want that kind of information on your platform, I think as a business, you have the right to not serve people. I want to make that clear. That I will agree with, because then if the government or anyone forces you to have someone on your platform, that is them infringing, in my opinion, on your rights. I don't think that Twitter is the town square. I think people are just very cringe and cosplaying like that. The town square doesn't have bots and Big Titty and OnlyFans on all over it. I think that if people have opinions, they can express those opinions. But if a business does not want to take your money and does not want to do business with you, that's completely fine. I don't think someone should be, because like there's a ton of. It's not like there's one hosting provider out there. So I have to be, and there's Nostr, there's email. Email is pretty decentralized in its nature. Nostr is very decentralized. They're not like a pro or anti-free speech. They're just a decentralized platform. They don't really give a shit. That's the beauty, is there's enough options now. That I don't what it's kind of like, if I don't like a company that does something, I could just not use their service. Like, simple as that. I don't like what Cloudflare does. I don't like the amount of power they have, but there's no other option right now. So that's my main problem. Except for there's some good ones coming out. Like, there's some good CDNs and anti-DDoS that's coming out. So we're getting there. And just like if I don't like something I see, I just kind of like ignore it. Like, people fucking talk shit to me all the time on the internet. I don't care. They say inflammatory stuff, so it's an interesting thought. Damn, that didn't work.
Wide web. The traditional web, you've got the user. They use a browser, which is that runs on their computer, and it uses protocols, mostly HTTP and WebSocket, to communicate over the internet with web servers, which sit in a data center, which is typically controlled by one of the 5 companies I previously mentioned. Within the data center, you've got web servers that are kind of the front end, and then behind those you have databases, publish, subscribe servers, and other things. But all of these things and all of your data sit in these data centers where they are controlled by one of these companies. Freenet takes a different approach. One part of it is the same, though, fortunately. You use a web browser, you interact with Freenet through your web browser, and the web browser interacts with Freenet through HTTP and what the HTTP.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think about it. It's kind of interesting. HTTP is decentralized. Anyone can spin up an HTTP server and serve stuff. It's kind of like, I know it seems like, oh, no shit, bro, but it's kind of one of those things that I was like not thinking about. I was like, HTTP is decentralized in its nature. I do kind of, I know I was just talking about Gemini and Gopher bring back web pages. Yeah, Gemini and Gopher really, I'm hurt. I'm genuinely hurt. HTTP is a protocol for serving files, so yeah, it's decentralized. Yeah. Well, it's like you have to think about protocols in a sense that you can block protocols. Protocols are completely blockable. That's why you got to have protocols that are so integrated with society that it makes it unblockable, I guess. When we were looking at that encrypted voice communication chat that decided to use Skype. Skype was doing it off a protocol that was so integrated all over the world that Skype went down, unfortunately, but they were using a Skype protocol to send end-to-end encrypted voice communications, very decentralized. I am looking at something called a Manate, an open source version that's going to be like super cool. Yeah, old school web is cool. I mean, there's some cool things about modern web. I don't think that the modern internet is a pile of shit, but I do think that there is a lot of things that are wrong with it. I guess we have more needs now, so it makes sense why it's different. And there are some good things that have come out of, like, I probably would have never discovered the vast majority of software if it wasn't for a lot of the modern internet that I use today that helps me get away from the modern internet. So it's kind of like a catch-22. Like, I'm very fortunate to live during a time where we have, end-to-end encrypting messages. We have end-to-end encrypted, TLS working on websites where it's free. Where people are rethinking maybe we did something wrong and we got to revert it. Like, completely, free and open source. I think there's just I think we're heading into a dystopian era, but I think I believe there will be a reset somewhere. People are starting to become more aware of privacy than ever. Later, Billy. Which is awesome.
So far, it's the same. However, instead of using those protocols to talk to web servers sitting in a data center you don't control, they talk to a Freenet peer that is running on your computer, and that Freenet peer is part of a global, decentralized peer-to-peer network. Critically, private data in Freenet stays on hardware that you control.
Which is cool. Let me know in Discord how easy hosting on a site Freenet is. I will. Or watch the video later. And don't forget to leave a comment for the for the engagement. Thanks for the engagement. Where is it? I was just on their site. Guess I wasn't. JK.
This
Oh.
is one of the kind of fundamental
Retarded.
principles that Freenet operates by.
It's going to take like 30 minutes to download.
The way that data is handled on the internet today is really just it's a car crash.
It's true.
And this is evidenced by...
And actually, it's not just the data that's the problem. We have zero privacy laws. We have zero privacy laws. We have zero data deletion laws. We have zero legislation that cares about any of this. That is the real problem. Look, information will be, in a sense, decentralization can be a problem. When you look at it from a broad view, when something is put ingrained on the blockchain, and when something is ingrained in these decentralized platforms like interplanetary file system, or like Matrix, or other platforms that do this kind of thing, we've come to realize that they are immutable. Like they're there forever. Clearly, when you put something on the internet, it's there forever. But these are really there forever, and that, from a privacy standpoint, could be a very big negative. So you have to think, I think, a little extra harder. Now, if they could develop a way, I don't know if they have, if this is like the Freenet's entire motive, if they develop a way to make it where it can be deleted, I think that it is a good thing. Now, there are pros and cons to it. It means people can't go in and like change stuff to make people forget, or like redact things that is where they did something really fucked up. Like this is like something about YouTube. If someone does something fucked up on YouTube, they can take the video down, but there's probably a good chance that that video is still up. Just like you may have deleted that tweet that where you were being fucking weird, but that's there forever. And when we were looking at how Matrix handles everything, a lot of the stuff there is you can presume that is going to be there forever, even if you delete your profile, even if you exit the system. Same thing with Discord. Same thing with a lot of these chatting services. This is why I say when you chat in a private room, whether it's a private room, whether it's a public room, whether it's on Signal, unless disappearing messages are there, and even then someone could take a picture with another phone, you should always have some level of confidence that that information is on the internet forever and someone has it. It is not deletable. You should always assume that your messages will get leaked. So you got to be careful what you leak, when you leak it. Even with time-based deleting messages, someone can just screenshot with another. I know it sounds crazy, but someone can just take another phone and just take a picture of it. That's why you need to be careful of what you say in a room, regardless of, even if it's someone you trust. That's my personal take. Don't send your nudes, guys. Or ladies.
In fact, I think just last week I got yet another letter saying, "Oh, we're so sorry, but some company I've never heard of got hacked and leaked your product."
Exactly, that's another one. Hacking is going to happen. It's going to happen today. It's going to happen tomorrow. It doesn't matter how good our encryption is. It doesn't matter how good their security is tightly brought down. The hack will happen. The data leak will happen. It's not if, but when. And this is why I tell people, fake your information. Just fake it. Who cares? If it's not legal, if it's not apparent, if it's not there are some warranties I've done with not real names. So at the same time, Discord is doing the thug. Ring Doorbell is also doing the thing. Oh, I mean, Ring Doorbell was Ring Doorbell 10 years ago. They did also OpenAI ads all happening at the same time. Ring Doorbell, if people, again, because we have 5-minute memory, I don't blame people for having 5-minute memory. Ring Doorbell did a partnership with law enforcement where they could just go, I think it was through the Neighbors app, back in 2017. They were like, oh yeah, they could just do no warrants and grab that information. People were just handing it over. It was stupid. That's why I think Neighbors is fucking retarded, and these cameras are fucking retarded. Look, I know people love their animals, and in society, we might see this as a W because it's quote unquote less crime, or we can catch people doing crime. I would rather live in the worst crime-ridden city than ever kneel to this kind of authoritarianism. And I say digital. I would say more or less Linux Mint will protect you. God, no. I'm a Linux Mint hater. Yeah, I remember that partnership. On top of that, they're introducing Find My Pet feature. Yeah. And they're just trying to tug at your screens. I do hate Linux Mint, by the way. And my thing is, I know people out there love their animals. I would John Wick if someone ever hurt my animals growing up. And I think it's more sad that people will just fall into this trap. Like I said, people need one of two things. They need a life-changing event to get involved with privacy, or I've thought about it, they need to be taught from the get-go about privacy. That generally never happens. You never live in a house where your schizophrenic dad is like, put your tinfoil hat, because you have so much influence through life. But in reality, it's always the first one. You need a life-changing event to happen to you in order to wake you up and make you privacy aware. And you need this life-changing event to do something that will guide you to free and open source options. When we were watching that one guy talk about the Graphene OS phone, and I think it was a shit review because it's like they're doing a heavy emotional manipulation to get people. Yeah, of course. There was a guy saying like, well, Graphene OS isn't Apple. I only see a few people talk about Graphene OS on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. But if you open up the YouTube page, I've been on YouTube for about, I don't even know how long at this point. I think like 3 or 4 years, maybe 5. Graphene OS, I think now, if you just type in Graphene OS, you will see just a plethora of stuff about Graphene OS. It's not 5 channels talking about Graphene OS. It's lots of people. It's a lot of good channels. I mean, this is in the last Channel Ramble. You got random channels called Channel Ramble. I'm not going to do that. This is like a flex or anything, but one of my videos was always like trending right here. At all point, because I was like, I'm not saying I'm the only one who was talking about Graphene OS, but that's changing because more and more people, Windows will protect you, probably. I mean, Windows is actually more secure than Linux out of the gate. It just has terrible telemetry. That's why it's called Channel Ramble. I don't know. It's just an interesting name. I don't want to watch that though, because it's probably Graphene OS survived the attack. Cyber learning. But I like seeing. Stop using Google. So I like seeing people push towards it, and I like seeing people install it. Oh, Android police. I don't trust anything with the word police in it. Tech videos of personality. Oh. I mean, of course, like Graphene OS is now going to get more attention because it's like, do you take Adderall? What drugs do you do? I don't do drugs. Drugs are illegal and bad, and people that do drugs should be shot. I'm implementing that quote you said in my brain. Windows is more secure than Linux. It is. Windows is more out of the gate. Windows has far better security just for the average user than built into Windows than Linux. Linux has a lot of Linux has a lot of glaring security problems that are never talked about. No, it is. It's 100%. I mean, you can go look at the documentation. Linux has caffeine is a drug. I don't do caffeine either. You should also, people that do caffeine should be shot too. So the thing is, like, if you look at it from like an actual security standpoint, Linux has actually what is it? Windows has native sandboxing. It has the trusted platform module, TPM 2.0. It's not really it has no root admin privileges from the get-go. Like, you have to explicitly run and give administrative privileges in Windows, and there's a plethora of other like different security features that exist natively in Linux and in Windows that don't exist in Linux. I remember hearing Linux is so unsecure now. It's not that it's unsecure, it's just it's got a lot of glaring security problems that aren't addressed unless you get specific distros that follow these steps, and it's still not perfect. Like Fedora does a lot of like work to make sure that it's secure out of the blocks. And then you also have Secure Blue, which is based on Fedora. Then you have CubesOS, which is based on Zen Hypervisor. All these extra steps, but the thing is, at the end of the day, I'm for free and open source choice. No, it's the big problem with Linux is the lack of sandboxing, and like I mean, there's a whole guide on, like, it's kind of, I think, somewhat outdated now because there's better strives. AppArmor isn't also SE Linux policies, and AppArmor isn't by default. So if you don't have that, you don't have mandatory access control. Apps can have free range to do a lot of things. Mac OS, even though I'm a Apple hater, Mac OS has this built into it. They have I think both Linux. I mean, not Linux. I think both Windows and Mac OS definitely, and Windows have both mandatory access control already, like, pre-configured. You don't have to go get AppArmor or Bubble Jail or all these other tools to make your systems more secure, or just SE Linux policies in general. You don't have to write them. With Linux, you do. There are some that have it like where they'll write like policies, but you have to remember not everyone's the same. Linux isn't a monolithic system, so there's such a difference in how every distro maintainer sets up their Linux distro and maintains it. It's not, no one's going to agree on it. They all have different beliefs. I mean, the Free Software Foundation doesn't consider CubesOS part of their list of like free and open software because they have proprietary blobs in some of their for security. They have some proprietary blobs for security. There are some AppArmor is the thing. Like, AppArmor is the thing. You have to set up AppArmor, and then you write it to you write the policies for the application itself. Why do you hate Linux Mint? It's very stable. It's just gay. I've never had an instability problem on a rolling release. Ever. Once. Never had an issue. That's the crazy part. People are like, it's stable. I had one issue with Void Linux with a repo, and I fixed it. It wasn't even like a complicated fix either. 30-second delay over TOR. Yeah, of course. But the thing about it is when you have AppArmor, like you have AppArmor and you have Bubble Jail. No, I don't use Linux Mint. And your mom also said I wasn't gay after I fucked her. So like the thing is, like with AppArmor, it introduces a level of complexity that normal people aren't gonna like just go out and do. Same thing with SE Linux, like SE Linux policies. Same thing with Bubble Jail. Same thing with, I mean, like Flatpak has gotten better. There is Flat Seal that helps like tighten the permissions. So it's you have a lot of options out there, and there's people out there that are trying to make like more like add more security to Linux. I think it's needed, and I would never go back to Windows or Mac OS. Never back to Windows, and I would never use Mac, even if Linux stayed in its current state. I don't care that much. And again, I can just do it myself. Like I can go read the documentation and just figure it out.
And by the way, here's a largely useless service that will monitor your credit rating as a not very useful
True.
compensation for this. And this, I don't know about you guys, but this happens to me maybe 5 or 6 times a year. And this is a symptom of the fact that none of us actually control our own data. We're all expected to just let these corporations handle our data, and they are not very good at it. And in some cases, they share it deliberately, for example, for targeted advertising and that type of thing. So, what is Freenet architecturally? Freenet is a global key value store. Key value stores, you see them in computer science all the time. They maybe have different names depending on the programming language. If you use Python, you might call it a dictionary, which is kind of an older term for it. In most programming languages these days, for example Rust, it's called a hash map. This is where you've got a key, you give it to the data structure, and the data structure will give you value associated with that key. This is also what a file system does in essence. The first really innovative thing that Freenet does differently is that the key in the key value store is actually WebAssembly code.
Boo!
Called a contract. And contracts are identified by a length 3 hash of that WebAssembly code. So the identity of a contract is tied to the actual code which defines the contract. And the role of the contract is to do several things that relate to the data to the value that's associated with that key. Firstly, it says, given a particular value, is it valid under this key? So a very simple example of that would be saying, is the data digitally signed by a particular private key associated with a particular public key? But it can be a lot more sophisticated than that. The contract is also responsible for specifying how the data can be modified, who can modify it, under what circumstances. Again, a simple example of that might be to say, well, the modification must be digitally signed with a particular private key associated with a public key. And then lastly, the contract is responsible for saying, how can the data be efficiently synchronized across the network? And I'll go into more depth on that a little later in the talk. The 3 key building blocks within Freenet are the contracts, which I just mentioned, delegates, which are designed to solve this data problem. A delegate is code. It's a little bit like local storage in a web. browser, but much more powerful. A delegate is code that stores private data on your computer and governs who can access that private data. So with the browser's local...
Well, yeah. You can't hear the audio because I paused it.
storage, if you wanted to access, let's say, a private key, you would retrieve... The web page would retrieve the private key from the browser's local storage, use it to sign something, whereas with delegates, we don't want to be moving this private data around, because every time you move the data, that's risky. So you will ask the delegate, hey delegate, please sign this data. And one of the key ideas with delegates is that whenever you communicate with the delegate knows who it's communicating with. So if for example, what's communicating with the delegate is a user interface, some WebAssembly code running in a web browser, then the delegate knows what the WebAssembly code is that it's talking to. And so it might say, oh, I recognize you, I trust you, therefore I'll sign this for you, or it might not. So, a global key value store. How do you have a completely decentralized global key value store that scales? And the key idea that Freenet relies on here is called small.
I would even say that, yeah, that's one of TOR's biggest problem is the scaling issue. We don't run enough nodes, like at all. Like that's a huge problem. That's actually probably one of the biggest problems. Is a part of it is like a financial thing. Like people have to have an extra PC, even though Pi's are. Is this working now? The fuck? People have to have an extra PC. The technical know-how isn't really that problematic. Running a node is super easy. It's like a few commands. And I think people get like allergic to the command line because, again, they listen to pussies that use Linux Mint. That's the second thing. There are some things that are objectively in Linux that are super easy that I personally like. Like, I'm like, wow, you made it that easy for people to do this. This is awesome. Some things are like, okay, you have to read. You have to RTFM. And then there's other times where it's like in between. You're like, all right, it's a little easy and it's a little easy, but there's some nuance to it. And I think so like federal agents and like governments and malicious actors, they can kind of do one thing. They don't have like a fund limit like the common people, even though there's more people probably than federal agents. People need the time, and they need to have the resource, and they need a reason. And if they don't have a reason to do something, and they don't have the time, and they don't have the resources, and that you're going to have an overgrowing amount of malicious nodes that are out there to do work or whatever, and law enforcement work, really just spy on its people. I think I was reading a page that I think ATF or something like that is monitor, like they're known to monitor Reddit. Now there's some other decentralized options out there when it comes to Reddit. There's Lemmy, and like a few other options, but it's still not there yet. Nostr is probably the kind. There's Lemmy, and then there's Minds. Minds is kind of weird though. There's a lot of goofy people on there that are like schizophrenic. That it's just boring. It's like boring. Let me see. I have a lot of Linux ISOs sitting around. ISO. Where are you? No. Not that. Vin and tonic vodka. What's that? Didn't I get FreeBSD downloaded? Isn't this recent? No. Maybe it went to cat pics. What's Vin and tonic? I did yesterday. Okay. Hell yeah. AKA BK Vodka by the creator of Telegram. Oh, yeah. Telegram's retarded. I don't know why people even use it or take it serious. I don't care that it's free. Even WhatsApp makes no fucking sense, but I think it's because it's free. And they have group chats, guys. Come on. Group chats. They have stickers. We have stickers, guys. Come use their service. I mean, shit, if that's all it takes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
World region. You're probably all familiar with small world networks to some degree, because human networks tend to form small world networks. The origin of small world networks goes back to the 1960s.
I think it isn't the small world networks, the 7 degrees of separation people. They're like, you guys can separate. You guys can like find a common middle ground of like between. This is like my favorite theory in the world to like just even think about. Where people are like, oh, I know somebody's cousin. I'm best friends with like somebody and their cousin like fucked the president or something like that. Like shit like that. I'm like, that's cool. I love the 7 degrees of separation. It's my favorite thing to learn about. It's very cool, especially how the internet has done it. It's made it much cooler to do stuff like this. Why isn't this working?
A social scientist called Stanley Milgram did an experiment where he went to Kansas and he created a bunch of letters, all of which had the name and address of people.
This is in 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I remember that one. I think that was a joke.
And he gave these letters.
But I did think about that. I was like, how many degrees of Kevin Bacon am I away from knowing Kevin Bacon? I did think about that at one point. I don't know. I don't remember what I came to, but I think me and my acquaintances, I think someone was close.
People in Kansas and told them, you've got to get this letter to this person who you don't know, but you can only do it by sending it to someone that you know personally. They have to send it to someone that they know personally, and so on. And so
Gonna grab water.
he released a few hundred of these letters, and he discovered to his amazement that not all of the letters made it, but of the letters that made it to the destination, they went through formed at random, where each person knows 20 other people randomly selected from the population, this would not work. But human relationships have this property where the closer to someone you are geographically, the more likely it is that you will know them.
He was a famous speed addict and doctor of mathematics. Well, it's based on Edwards' numbers. It's known as collaborative distance and has connections to network theory. The thing is, I want to do this one day, just like as an experiment. Like, how far could I get my letter? To like what? Like, I would have to think of somebody in that's famous randomly that I have in mind, and I want that letter to get to them. But I can only send it through someone I personally know, which would be cool. Example, I'm two hop away from Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. I know two guys who's talked to both of them.
Random person in China.
Yeah, but how far are you from, like, let's think. Hold on. This would be more based. Okay, so all countries, will this work? There we go. Okay, France. Unfortunate, by the way. Okay, I want everyone to know I hate France. France, famous people in France right now. I got Varga Vickens to block me next. I don't know who that is. So David Guetta? He's French? Ew. I've also gotten Sam Hyde. That's funny. Like, how many people could you get? God, the ads on here are AIDS. How many letters would you have to? How many letters would you be able to? You have to like circulate from you to David Guetta. Like, what would? How many? Like, find a. I didn't know he's French, but find a person, and you're like, hey, if I give you this letter, and then that person's like, hey, I know someone that like. How many degrees of separation are you from David Guetta? Guetta?
For example. And
that's what I want to do. I want to find to just pick a random person from a random country. Like the prime minister or like the fucking congressperson in fucking like China. I want to see if I could get to them via letter. Like, me take a letter. I'm like, all right, how am I going to start this?
the way Freenet works is it peers in the network self-organize into a small world network. The Freenet network is organized as a ring where every peer in the network is assigned a number between 0 and 1, where 0 and 1 are effectively the same number like a clock. And also contracts in the Freenet network are assigned a position on that same ring. And so when I say that two peers are close to each other in the Freenet network, that doesn't mean that they're geographically close. It means that they are close on this conceptual
Yeah, it is an interesting thought. I think about this quite often. Like, how far am I from people in terms of certain people?
And in fact, the location of a peer on this ring is determined by a hash of the peer's IP address. So, and they're kind of.
I would say even go as far as if they could only make an app like this where it's just random, like peered communication. You just like you throw out like a letter or something, and it just lands on somebody, and then you create like it creates like a interweaved like network of friends. Maybe that's how like you make friends or something like that on the internet. It'd be kind of cool. Somebody should make that, but in Rust, and then pay me $6 in Monero for the idea.
Reasons for that I'll go into, but it's because it's a hash, it's effectively randomized. So just because two peers have similar IP addresses doesn't mean that they'll be close together on this network. And the really interesting thing about small world networks is that they scale really well. In fact, small world networks scale logarithmically in the size of the network, which is the same kind of scalability characteristic that, for example, a red-black tree has, or any of these key value data structures that that we're all familiar with. So it scales potentially up to billions of peers, no problem.
Yeah, I think that the thing. The thing about it is, it's kind of interesting too. That I've thought about is like beyond the towards like limitations with because people don't want to like run nodes. I2P solves this, but I2P has an issue with like nodes popping up and being malicious. Oh, small world routing. I heard about that from VX Underground in the article on the Red King Hivemind botnet protocol. Oh, interesting. I don't remember that. I love their site though. I wanted at some point. I want to buy the. They have that hard drive with all the malware on it. You could use Red King to do freenet. Do a freenet. Oh, cool.
So one of the difficult problems in any decentralized network is how do you ensure that data is consistent without a central authority? If you've got a central authority, it's fairly straightforward. The central authority can just say, this is the data, if you disagree, I'm right and you're wrong. But in a decentralized network, you can't have that. So, and this is an extremely hard problem. Bitcoin, in effect, spends $7 to $8 billion per year in electricity solving a version of this problem.
Red King is like a special case of small world networks. Oh, okay. Let me see that. Yeah, VX Underground is awesome. The Dream of a Red King. No! Of a Red King. A connection algorithm for small world peer-to-peer networks. I'll have to bookmark that and read it later. It seems cool. But the thing is, too, is like... Oh. Oopsies, that would have been bad. The thing is, too, is... I was actually... I used to go on this site called Zero Net that was inspired by Bitcoin. It's not maintained anymore, thank God. And it was a fucking nightmare. Lots of zoophilia on there. And, like, just not a good place to be in general. A lot of furries. But not like the enjoyable, wholesome ones. Just like fucking weirdos. That's going to turn people off from this. Yeah, the visuals on this article are based. Oh, this is the article? I was thinking the ads and how much I hated them. Yeah, security is a moving target. That is pretty... I'll have to check that out, though.
Our approach is different. Our approach with Freenet is that the state, which is the value that's associated with the key, the data in the network, one of the things that a contract does is, for its state, it needs to specify a way that any two different states can be merged together. And merged, particularly in a way such that it doesn't matter what order you merge the states in, you will always end up with the same result. So this is, I hate using this term because it kind of confuses things, but I'll say it anyway. Mathematically, this is called a commutative monoid. But don't worry about that. You don't need to know anything about that to understand this. It's actually a relatively simple concept. And so
relatively simple concept, complicated name, average Linux moment. Average free and open source software moment, actually.
Because states can always be merged, you get this thing called eventual consistency, which means that given enough time, assuming that the network isn't significantly broken, all of the peers that are hosting a particular contract will eventually converge to the same contract state. And then the question is, well, how do you make sure that the state can always be merged? And that's up to the author of the contract. From Freenet's perspective, state is just an arbitrary block of bytes. So Freenet doesn't even dictate what serialization format you could use JSON, you could use bin code, you could use...
All my JSON fans around? JSON enjoyers?
it's defined by the contract. So let's say you've got a contract in the network and it's got some.
Okay, let's see. I think it used to be called something else. I don't have System D on my Void Linux distro, so it's giving me an issue with System D. That's why I hate System D, guys. We need to get away from it. We need to. Everyone needs to go watch the problem with System D to realize how lame it is. Oops. Oh. Curl should be the default. Should be installed in every Linux distro with btop. Btop and curl will, and don't forget to put tac-y on every install. Because if you don't, you're wasting time. That could be precious time arguing with people on the internet. If you're not arguing with people on the internet, you're not having a good time. You're not having a good time. Someone was like, "There's no Pixel 8a for $300," and then I found one for $300. Checkmate, virgin. That's what it's about. I even say that there's some really cool peer-to-peer hardware applications that are coming out, like Meshtastic. LoRa has been around. The Requiem network has been around for a long time. Manets are becoming increasingly cheaper to obtain for citizens. This is mainly a military thing. Manets are like self-healing, decentralized mesh ad hoc networks. In perspective, the Batman protocol is pretty cool. Unfortunately, CDJNS I think is inactive now, but there's something called YSG Rails, which is a decentralized DNS server overlay network as well. That's pretty cool. I do like that this is becoming more and more. I would say it's coming out of the niche and becoming into a mainstream niche where it's still very esoteric, but less esoteric as to only 5 to 6 schizophrenic people that are having ideas and they're like, I need to do this kind of thing. And remember, the best Linux up command best Linux command is the up command. To run free. No, go away. Ubuntu. Huh. What the fuck? Oh, maybe it's an application. I think it is an application. The fuck? again. Now. Oh, maybe. I thought it was app image. Huh. Let's see. Yeah, no, you can. Oh. Oh. Should have told me it was running local. Maybe it's not. It's very interesting. Racking is like a special case of a small world networks. River may take a while to load while you get your first peers. We're gonna name it Balls. Wow. Based, but not working. I guess it's running? Why does it tell you to run the command and then, but it, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird how it said run the command. It's a cool dashboard though. Oh, there we go. Accept. Wow, very based. I wish the Android client was still getting updated. Maybe it will.
Associated with it. Let's say the state is a couple of megabytes. Maybe the state is a single page app, for example, like a group chat app like River, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. That's maybe 3 megabytes of WebAssembly and HTML and images and stuff like that.
Is Freenet good? Freenet is less developed than like its predecessors. It's cool. It's good. I just think it's got a lot of work to do. And the thing is, just because it's slower development doesn't mean it's bad development. I'll even say this. So I don't know exactly. The last time we looked at Freenet, you had to give complicit consent to who you were communicating with. Like if you know them, if you don't know them, if you trust them, if you don't trust them. So we'll read some information. It's cool. I want there to be more competition in this space because I don't want there just to be TOR. No offense to TOR. I think TOR does This is the one I was looking at. This is the -net, which is the free network project. What did I download? And then this is the Freenet. Oh, he's using a framework. That's kind of.
Let's say you've
Why
got
would
two
you?
peers in the
Why would
network.
someone use Freenet over Tor over I2P? Preference. Um, if Tor if Tor is, if you don't look, the thing is, like, it's all about what you see fit for your scenario. Tor gets blocked in some countries where it's illegal, so there could be I2P. I2P is a little bit more extra to set up. This was just the so I2P requires a little bit more technical know-how. This just runs a curl script and it sets up a local service. So this could make it where people are like, I want something similar to I2P, but I don't want to do this. Maybe something similar to Tor. I don't know how it relays your IP address or any information that is considered identifiable. We're gonna figure that part out. But from a blanketed technical standpoint, Tor is very easy to set up. You just grab the Tor browser bundle and you're done. But countries do censor it and make it. Sometimes, I don't know. I don't want to say illegal, but like probably hard, if not illegal, to obtain. I2P is pretty censorship resistant because everyone is, a node operator, so it might benefit that. This might be another option. And what is the Bennett project? I don't know what that is. I'd have to look it up.
Work.
While I do that,
Each got a different version of that state. And the question is, how do those peers synchronize that state efficiently? So, in this diagram, you can see here the state is just represented by images. You've got two peers, and you'll see that here their state has diverged. They've got each is storing different things. And so the first thing that you do is each peer generates a summary of its state. And just like everything else in Freenet doesn't care what the summary is. The summary is, as far as Freenet's concerned, the summary is just arbitrary bytes. What those bytes mean is entirely.
let's see. I mean, it's still. Didn't somebody do a YouTube channel on this? Russ mentioned based. I'm interested now. The alternative proof of concept implementation. All current information with this repo before 20 is considered depreciated as not indicative of the current state. We've decided that we're going to build the systems for an alternative using the lib P2P Rust library. This provides us with a solid framework. DHT, which is a cool protocol, DNS system design update. It's robust. Peer-to-peer design, decentralized DNS. The CAD Amalia distributed hash table is used in lib peer-to-peer. In simple terms, it's a hash table of the network. Time to live. It seems cool. Looks like it's still active. It's only. I've never. This, I think I heard of. I think I came across it. I think a YouTube channel talked about it. But I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look more. It seems cool. If it's based in Rust.
In this case, the summary is just a textual description of the image, but it can really be anything. So each peer generates a summary. Those peers exchange their summaries, and then using the other peer's summary, it says, what data do I have that the other peer is missing? It identifies that data, and it puts that.
Oh yeah, we can do that. Freenet is a peer-to-peer network that replaces the client-server structure of today's web with a mesh of equal nodes. Every computer that runs Freenet core stores and saves their data. No single party can block, censor, or monetize access. The core is a compact binary under 5 megabytes and installs in seconds on the desktop, mobile, or embedded hardware. Once launched, it finds nearby peers and self-organizes into a small world overlay that routes that routes requests efficiently without central dictory. On this foundation, you can build websites, group chat, marketplace, or any real-time app. A browser points to your local node, downloads the app code, and interacts with the free net apps through WebSocket APIs. No external servers or accounts are tracking. Interesting. Hugo site, main website. Oh, based Hugo. Mentioned. Components. Example. Introduction, overview, contracts, architecture. Technical, create an app. A step dive is to create an app on Freenet. Local trust, UI front end. I'll have to send this in the Discordo. A decentralized chat that indicates yeah, this is an interesting chat app. I wonder if there's room for rooms. Oh, okay, there is. I could create a room. I wonder how permanent it is, though. Oh, invite members. One invitation per person. Generate new information for each person you invite. You've been invited. Maybe I could make this. I try. Hello? Wow. Very based. No notifications. I wonder how this works on Android, to be completely honest. Because I remember finding one, and their project is still just a concept. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that was the one I was... yeah, it was like a YouTuber. But I remember watching it. What's the bad track record? I'm curious. It looked interesting. I just did. I forgot about it until you brought it up.
Delta, you could think of this as being similar to a diff if you're dealing with GitHub or source code. The peers then exchange that data, and now both peers are synchronized. They have the same state. And the beauty of this approach is that they were able to do this by transferring the minimum amount of data. So, provided that the contract is intelligently implemented, this provides a mechanism that peers can very efficiently synchronize their state to ensure that all of their state is consistent. Okay, so one of the goals of Freenet, I mentioned that Freenet is a key value store. Freenet is an observable key value store.
Huh.
And what that means is if you're interested in the state of a particular contract, you can subscribe to that state and you can be notified immediately if that state changes. So this is functionality that some databases can kind of do for you.
To be honest, there's good things about the Online Safety Act that it forces people to look for alternatives to ClearNet. Yeah, you can put it that way. I mean, it's a positive outlook. I think it will force people to like I said, it all comes down to, things happening to you that force you to find free and open source alternatives. I discovered Monero because, even though I knew Bitcoin was public, I didn't think there was a private way to obtain Monero. I mean, like what Monero was. I didn't think there was a private way to obtain Bitcoin. I knew about mixers. I knew about all these extra steps, and I was like, that's a lot of work. I don't really care. And then I was like, oh, there's Lightning. Lightning kind of pushed me into Monero. I was like, Lightning is supposed to be more private when it's, from what I've read and listened to other people say, it's really not actually. There's you have to run your own node, and there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts that are involved in Lightning being private. And then I discovered Monero. I was like, oh, cool, based actually. I actually was aware of that, and at the time, Oxen as well, which is the Loki Nets and fucking Sessions, terrible coin, by the way. But I was like, cool, based. And then I became a Monero Maxi. But I don't own any. Don't buy Monero. It's illegal. It's a crime. And you should never own Monero or buy it. It's wrong. I like Monero because it is one of the few cryptocurrencies worth mining with a normal computer. The thing is minus the fact that you're probably not going to get rich from mining, is it's again a very community decentralized selfish effort to make sure that Monero's network is secured. All people that do mine Bitcoin, all they care about is the money. And I think I saw a report come out. It will cost you $90,000 and up to mine one Bitcoin yourself, to make to mine one block on the blockchain, which I think gives you like 3 Monero. I think it gives you, no, they said it equals to like 1 Bitcoin, not like 3. If you find a block, you get like 3. So if you have enough computing power and you mine a full block, you get 3 Bitcoin. It's very possible, but you have to spend like almost upwards of $100,000 plus to even obtain that kind of power. Plus your electricity costs, you got to pay off the machine. Not worth it.
Databases can notify you when data changes, but a lot of databases can't, and those that do, you can run into a lot of.
I want my database to tell me that I'm using MongoDB, the based database, the bleeding edge one.
Efficiency problems and scalability problems. If you use
When the stream is over, comment your favorite database and why. Thank you for the engagement.
this functionality, but Freenet is designed to do this natively, and the way that Freenet notifies people immediately when state changes is, let's say if I'm interested in a particular contract state, I will send a subscription request out into the network, and specifically I'll say,
I'm mining in a pool right now, based, because mining cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, you have to use ASIC computers. Oh well, that was the theory of the free market. In Bitcoin's perspective, is Bitcoin allowed competition. The competition allowed people to buy the best hardware, to be the most efficient, to curate the capital the most, and then multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies stepped in and crushed all the competition. Not in a free market way, but because Michael Saylor is a blood-sucking vampire. I'm pretty sure he is not a real human, and he is a actual vampire, just like how Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. So they're kind of like all like leeches when it comes to when they find something, they fuck it up for everyone else. Bitcoin has lost the plot. I'm not a fan. It's based when people do mine in Monero, and it's based when they help secure and decentralize the network, and it is super awesome. And I like when people do it because it prevents from malicious nodes getting involved, and it's super cool. And I'm glad that Monero hasn't stepped back and went to an ASIC perspective. Like they've stuck on the core concept that CPU is awesome because everyone has the access to CPUs, and it's not going to be a competition of dollars. It's going to be the theory is that it will go to the fee market. The fee market will create a balance where miners get rewarded for mining besides just securing the network. So it's a pro and a con. Like if I were to run a TOR node, I am losing, pennies a year, but I am gaining the fact that other people can surf the internet, freely and securely. That is the purpose of TOR, and that is kind of like a selfish act. Of all cryptos, Monero is the best. Monero is out of all of them, it is the most utilitarian option. We don't have a utilitarian cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is not utilitarian anymore. A lot of places have stopped accepting it. XMR rig could get a Rust rewrite, as it should. It would be based. I remember people being like, "Oh my God, Tesla's going to accept Bitcoin." I think they've redacted it. They went back because they're like, it's too volatile. Tons of companies have started up and disappeared. We're like, we'll pay you in Bitcoin or something like that, shit like that. And then they're like, wait, no, we're not going to do that anymore. They spin up and they collapse immediately because they're like, we're not making the bags or whatever. Because people only care about Bitcoin for one reason: price. That's it. That's all the boomers talk about. That's all the companies talk about. That's all people talk about. People that aren't even aware or know what Bitcoin is talk about Bitcoin's price. That's all they care. It's like XRP people. XRP people are NPCs. They're not real humans, and no one should feel sorry for them because they're almost government shills. They're like, oh, they're gonna get government contracts and be used as a standard form of currency. Why the fuck would you want that? Why would you want a centralized authority to take the concept of money that we have now and get government contracts? Are you a fucking retard? Are you so dumb that you're like, I want to get away from the central banking authority, but I also want this cryptocurrency to be put straight into the government. I love the contracts. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just use a regular bank, you fucking moron. But again, they don't care about tokenomics. They don't care about architecture. They don't care about utilitarianism. They care about the price because they are losing their life savings and a dog shit coin. And this is why I hate cryptocurrency channels, all of them. Not a single one I like besides the obviously Breaking Monero, because they explain Monero on a technical level and not as a price level. But all cryptocurrency channels are gross and gay, and I think they all should suffer. Yeah, it defeats it defeats the point. That point, yeah. There's no point actually in caring about a coin. And what do you think about Freenet project? I think it's cool. I think Freenet is a cool concept. There's the HyphenNet. I mean, there's a lot of options out there we have. It's just, I would have to actually dig deeper into it and see how, what's its availability on mobile is, what's the availability for people, how easy of use is there apps actually being built on it? Because they have a documentation on how to build apps. But if no one's building apps on it, I'm not saying it's worthless, but it is kind of worthless. If no one's building infrastructure on it, this is what happened to Gopher, and this is what happened to kind of like Gemini. Gemini is still somewhat active. The Agora browser is still maintained and very cool. And it's a way to decentralize and visit web pages that aren't bloated and have no JavaScript, and it's very cool and it's peer to peer. But if people aren't building stuff on it, no one. It's like, if you build it, they will come. Kind of moment. You have to build stuff on it. So people have to see the vision. They have to. The development has to be easy to transition to, and people have to want to build stuff there. If no one's building on there, no one's going to use it. Personally, I know Futo and like Louis Rossmann can bring light to anything, but people have to want to get involved. There's this. Where is it? It's cool. Like I said, Gemini and Gopher died way too. I can't remember the name of the browser. Agoro. The Gemini protocol is still live. Damn you, Google, for using that word. Here we go. If you want to talk about digital minimalism, here it is. Gemini. It's a group of technology similar to the ones behind your familiar web browser. Using Gemini, it's like they make capsules. But I'll find. This is why I like GitHub. Agreo. It's a Lectron, unfortunately. Sorry to, but it's still actively developed. Super cool. So you can use this to go to peer-to-peer sites. Very interesting. I could do like a whole video on this. Like it's just it'd be somewhat boring, but very cool. Damn you, Google. Why do they have to use the same name? But I've used this. It's very cool. It's very interesting. I've found some schizophrenic websites on there before. Windows everything, everything Google, everything illegal. Fuck it. Windows everything, Google everything. Yeah. But I've never used any of these other. I think I used this one. No, I did not definitely use this one. Something that outdated. Some stuff, I mean, it's a protocol, so some of it's like. One's made Dart? What was the other one? Oh, Flutter? I think this is the one I used. This one's still active? Nope. There was one I used on Android, and I think there was a way someone figured out how to make this. That's my line. Comment. Everything is illegal. Oh, nice. Ubuntu. Ubuntu Touch. A client for Gemini and the Gemini and Gopher protocol. Such like very cool things that somewhat, I don't want to say died, but they kind of died. People aren't using it. There might be a small niche of people that are using it, like anarchist ANCAPs, like anarchist capitalists, or like ANCOMs that like live in like the weirdest part of like Europe or something, or like some fucking weird place in France, and they're like, hey, I found this really sick browser that teaches us how to go into the Gemini protocol based, and that's like about it. And they have like all the same idea, and they're like sending pictures of like their girlfriend naked to each other or something.
I will send that subscription request to the people.
They're like digital polycules, but like digitally.
Peer that my peer is connected to that is closest to the contract I'm trying to subscribe to. And the immediate peer that I send it to probably won't have it, but it will then do the same thing, and the next peer will do the same thing.
Oh wow, the rise of Chinese memory. You met me at a very Chinese time.
Thing. And because peers in Freenet will tend to host that have locations that are close to them on the ring.
Damn it! But for anyone that wants to go down to the Gemini rabbit hole, explain it like I'm 5. Explain what like you're 5, Gemini or the Freenet project. I will also drop this in the chat for the homies. Gemini in 100 words. Gemini is a new internet technology supporting an electronic library of internet-connected text documents. It's not a new idea, but it's not old-fashioned either. It's timeless, and it deserves tools which treat it as a first-class concept. It's not virtual corner case. Gemini isn't about involving or disruption. It's about providing some receipt for those who feel the internet has been disrupted enough already. So Gemini is a protocol that where you can build. There is no JavaScript. There's no fancy websites. I'll explain this real quick. It's the bare bones, sick ass websites that you like. Any thoughts on MSI catchers? I mean, they're a threat if you're at a protest. Don't bring your phone. But so Gemini, in a sense, is a protocol. It leads you to something called capsules. These capsules are like, it's like if it'd be like, personally, it'd be like Evil Dojo 66 Wet Dream if you were to visit these websites. They're simple in their nature. They look like they're fucking made from like the 1990s era internet, because everything's done in Markdown. MSI catching is definitely a threat. You're going to always, when you protest against anything the FCC radio's IDs are more valuable. IMSIs can be modified, I believe. Yeah, they're a threat, but like, you're obviously like, it really comes down again to metadata. MISs are both spoofed, and I don't think they actually can be spoofed. I'm pretty sure there is, the only person that said they were doing it was Cape, and it's not public. Those are permanently burned into it. Fuck yeah, I love Markdown. Yeah, I love Markdown too, actually. I'm a huge Markdown fan. And you can explore like Gemini websites. Like they're out there. They're cool. Some of them are like very retro looking. I think even Graphene OS's documentation has stated that you can't, like, the IMSI and the IMEI is, as long as there's no identifying information to those identifiers, you really can't do anything about it. But if there's nothing pointing to them, like personal information, you're fine. But most people do. After 7 years, it's deleted either way. Per who? per who? The longest person who does hold that information is AT&T, but you don't know that. There's court documents of people being caught with like and them holding like information for like ever. And if like say it's brand new information. I don't think it's the biggest threat that people point out to. I think that there's other information they use to correlate you, but it is definitely a thought. It's definitely it's an attack surface that you should be somewhat concerned about. My general advice is just don't bring your phone to a protest. Bring a regular camera and post it on the internet later. If it wasn't a threat, then law enforcement wouldn't be using it. They wouldn't be using catchers anymore. There'd be no point in them. And they still do. Can you make your own catcher? Yeah. Someone, now there's defenses against it. 5G internet's supposed to be more secure. It's supposed to be more encrypted. Wendy's, fuck no. Fuck Wendy's. I even say that one of the worst parts is like just the other things that people leak. Like, I mean, you got Bluetooth scanning, Wi-Fi scanning, MAC address scanning. I mean, any company that you connect to. They'll give over the information gladly. But the real question is, what is your favorite thing from Wendy's? And if you say the fucking baked potato, you suck. For making one, I think there's a YouTube. Don't quote me, but I think there's something on YouTube where they demonstrate you can make it for like a catcher for like $1,500, where you can catch other people's like. I believe that's like was the cost. Baconator, the worst sandwich on the fucking planet. Literally the worst sandwich on the planet. Disgusting. Literally, you picked the most disgusting one of all things from Wendy's. You could have picked. Abs chasing your tail, NG. No, Evil Dojo. Not you too. The Baconator's the worst. No, the triple disgusting. I don't know. I just never liked piles of meat. It's just gross to me. There was a, it was like on, I remember seeing it. I remember seeing one being made on like DEF CON. No way the Gemini Project got a client for Amigos. Probably. The triple makes me feel like I ate a whole human. Yeah, probably made it. That's probably what it's made of. Well, Evil Dojo's like fucking like, it looks like he's like 100 pounds. You know those really skinny people? They just fucking like, they're sinkholes with food. And you're like, how do you fit all that inside you? Among Us?
Host that contract.
No.
And hosting a contract means that if two peers host a contract, if two peers are hosting a contract and they have a direct connection, and the state of that contract changes on one of those peers, the other peer will be notified immediately. So here you have a chain of peers, all of which are hosting the contract. So if the state of that contract changes, it will then propagate along that.
I've only used Among Us.
And I will show you what that looks like. I showed this to a friend of mine. He said it kind of reminded him of an ayahuasca experience he had one time. So presumably closest to the contract that's been subscribed to. The updates here, they're just occurring.
Yeah, when I get going, I can eat a lot. I can throw down some food. I don't know where it goes. I'm 40 and I still can't gain weight. Probably just genetics. I know a lot of people like that. If I look at a pizza, I'll gain weight. It's always bald people though, so if you're bald, it makes sense.
Random, so an update can start at any point in the tree, and because these peers are connected directly to each other, any update will propagate like a virus through the tree, and one of the really neat things about it, you will see that even though the updates are constantly happening, and actually
I wonder how malware would spread through this. That's what I think about. How easy is it for malware to spread with this kind of system?
Newer versions of this slide, they were happening a lot more frequently. And it kind of made people feel ill, so I slowed it down. But the beauty of this is that updates can occur all over this subscription tree, and the tree will always converge to what should be the latest version of the state. So, if you're building,
I will say that is a big problem. Is like people are like we're decentralized, and then they'll be on like AWS. Like remember like Solana, for quite some time was like having outages left it, dude. Like dude, AmigoOS was first made in 1985. Dude, people still run fucking Windows 7. I think Serial Port, which is an excellent YouTube channel, they just got a way to like connect through fucking Telnet or something crazy. If you ever want to watch really good stories on how stuff started, these guys are fucking based. Yeah, they talked on the internet phone of 95. I was actually just going to bring this up. There's something called Vintage Computer Festival Midwest, where people literally will set up stuff, use it, and it's like shit from fucking like 96. And it still works. They're like, guys, look at we figured out how to make these computers from like 1960 to still connect to the internet somehow, or like some dumb shit. Wow, look at that server from 1999. That cost $25,000. I know some people are bringing back BBS boards too, like BBS bulletin boards, like the what boomers used to talk to each other on.
Building a system on
BBS boards, right? Am I right for the old folks in chat?
top of Freenet, how does that compare to building on the traditional path? Well, firstly, there's a lot less infrastructure that you build. There's no cloud infrastructure, there's DNS, databases, all of this stuff is
Thank God, fuck DNS.
taken care of by Freenet itself. So Freenet
Well, some are we're using Meshtastic to create BBS boards to connect to over LoRa. There's a project that does this. It's pretty cool.
it's kind of a drop-in replacement for all of this infrastructure. Going out and getting your SSL certificate is irrelevant with Freenet, because with Freenet, everything that needs to be digitally signed contracts are identified by a hash of the contract code. So in effect, just by accessing a contract, you know what the contract does because
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there is. I think they're called Midwest Computers or something. They're like a computer company where people can donate vintage tech to them, like tech that or tech just they're not using, and you can pay. You can pay for it. It's a cool place. I've never visited, but I'm only aware of it because of a YouTube channel. They take the stuff donated in, and they sell it for pennies, like very small amount. This is a nonprofit. Like there is some cool stuff like that's like, wow, why did we get rid of that kind of thing? And this is actually cool. No monthly bill, no auto scaling with networks, no certificate of management. God, sometimes I remember one time when I was running I used to run a Mastodon server, and I forgot to renew my SSL, and I had an SSL issue for like 20 minutes. I wanted to. I was like, oh, I forgot to renew it. I believe this is the last year democracy will exist. Nah, everyone says that. I don't trust remote meetups in the middle of nowhere. Too easy to be targeted. Who's going to target you? What are you going to do? Steal your Hello Kitty flip phone?
you can see its code. You can either decompile it or find the source code for it. And then of course, delegates also take care of things like what.
Yeah, blend in with the traffic. Eat Wendy's in your Baconator. Really, you just don't go to DEF CON. Or, as I would say, FedCon. I wanted to go to DEF CON really bad, but fuck those ticket prices now. They can suck my balls.
Password or LastPass or whichever password manager hasn't been hacked yet. It seems like it's just
For all you know, you could have sold that. See, you didn't care about shareholder value, so that was a real opportunity. You kind of fucked that up. I would have stolen it, recompiled it, and then sold it to the NSA. Or the highest bidder, maybe the Chinese.
a matter of time. And it also means you don't have to pay anyone to host. It's all just hosted in the network. Freenet prioritizes based on popularity. So if you put data in the network but nobody cares about it, eventually it'll fall out of the network. If a lot of people are accessing your data, if a lot of people are subscribing to your contracts, then it will be widely cached.
It's full of a mix of people know it's worth it. No, thank you. Not $500 worth it. Maybe you should have an iPhone. That's the real question. I don't know if it was the person that bumped into me seems suspicious, or maybe they were trying to like figure out what your cock size was. Some people do that. Just saying. Especially, there is a lot of furries there. Only reason I know is because the exploit was public days leaks later. Probably.
So, so the key thing I think with this talk and the difference between this talk and previous talks I've given here is that Freenet is now live. It's up and running, and I will.
Based! No more beta. You could even say super cool. Oh, look at the messages. I'm on Mint Debian, works fine here. Could someone try and reply feature so fun? Hello from California. Hello from Germany. Why would you tell people where you're from? Hello from internet. Hello from balls. Your message pops up in about an hour later. You want from me? See, if Epstein only just knew about Freenet instead of email, he could have gotten away with his crimes. He should have installed it.
May regret this, but I'll try to go to a live version of the dashboard here. Yeah, so this is a real-time visualization of the Freenet network as it is at the moment. It's still pretty small, it's just 19 years.
Good morning, guys. What's the topic? Anything important I missed? No, you didn't miss nothing. Good morning. Where the fuck are you coming from? North Korea? You know what's funny too is if Epstein was just introduced to PGP, they'd be straight.
Scale up to billions of years. You can see the.
And I'm glad they didn't use PGP, by the way, because fuck them.
You can see the ring. All of the peers are arranged on a ring, and you can see how some of the peers are connected. If
I do like graphs, so.
this is working, you can see how some of the peers are connected.
Wow, I'm not connected to anything.
Peers that are close together are much more likely to be connected than peers which are distant. Although because the network is still relatively small, most peers are connected to most other peers at the moment.
Everyone needs to jump on this.
Yeah.
We need more connections. I have 200 peers though.
World topology, and
I'll be running Freenet, TOR, Relay, and I2P all on my network so that my ISP cries like a baby back bitch.
requests, which we talked about, and then various other types of messages. Which you're going to be getting.
Oh, nice.
Always a risk to use Linux with these.
Somewhere up north. Morning time, though. I mean, you gotta be very north. I like how you can see JE's mental decline via the last emails.
Moment of the talk. We survived it.
Yeah, probably doing all the fucking
Yeah.
sick shit. Shorter and shorter texts, and as he died. Oh. Probably knew he was gonna die. They're like, well, someone's coming to do lights out, baby.
So
That's why my favorite thing when people bring it up, they're like, he didn't kill himself. I don't care if he did. He's dead. Uh-oh. Oopsies. And whoever did it. And I know people are bringing up like, oh, he didn't get to see justice. He didn't get to see like okay. You can. Yeah, you got McAfee. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, McAfee was probably less of a terrible person than him, so yeah, you could say that. I'm not necessarily shedding tears over whoever did such a glorious thing. And some people will be like, oh no, we won't be able to know the truth. We know the truth. We don't need any more evidence. Lock them all up. No one's. I'm not saying like if you knew him, like you're guilty. but I'm definitely saying if you were at that island, you knew. You knew, and you need to be dealt with. There's no way you're visiting a private island and you not know. Especially multiple times. Like, I don't understand, like, okay, maybe you went once and they hit everything and you're like, oh, I'm never coming back here. That was boring. Anthony Bourdain? Anthony Bourdain was on there? No! God damn it, not Anthony Bourdain! He was there investigating, guys. I don't believe it. Hey, guess what we didn't see on there, though? Richard Stallman. That's got to be a shot. Too many Epstein sweepers out here. Let's just say we didn't see Richard Stallman on the list. All victims of the Clintons. I don't even think I could care less. Was he really on that list? No. Wait, Anthony Bourdain or the Clintons? Oh, okay. Whew. That'd be scary. I'm like, no, not Bourdain. Of all people. I just meant he was also. Oh, he was clerked. He might have killed himself, actually. I mean, some people say that there is like a correlation because him and Chester Bedingfield was going to release something, but he could have. Sometimes I think people like reach too deep and don't realize you can be depressed and just kill yourself. You can be very sad and no one ever knows, and you can just kill yourself. Nothing stops you. Like, you know what I mean? Besides yourself, obviously. But some people, it doesn't matter. I think people have this, because they can't fathom the idea of someone just being sad enough to be like, you know what? I don't want to, I just want to check out. I don't want to be here. I mean, no one looked into fucking Robin Williams. Robin Williams killed himself. No one was like, there's this interesting, deep cabal, like, and I think it's disingenuous to the people that, to them and their family, we don't know what he was thinking. And same thing with Chester Butterfield, like because people like to correlate their deaths together for some insane reason. The fact check is sus. I'm not saying there's a fact check or anything. I just think that people come to insane conclusions and don't realize that people can just kill themselves and just not be happy. It's very possible. I don't have an opinion about it beyond that. I would even say that even if they did it, the Silent Children was a real documentary film set up to expose the truth of Robin Williams suffered from dementia. Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, but even if it was a real documentary, let's give you the hypothetical. That doesn't mean people can't just. That doesn't mean people can't be like, you know what? I hate this place. I'm out. You can just have a very untimely like suicide. And why didn't they release, if it was this insane documentary, like, why didn't they just release it?
We don't want it to get like posted to Hacker News because it's not designed to handle a vast amount of traffic.
Also, I would like to make it a very apparent. People think that like there's this secret like child sexploitation out there. We know about it. Everyone's very aware. Nothing's going to change. And I don't think there's anyone exposing anything anymore at this point because it's all really been very exposable. I think they just did it because they saw and knew the shit. I mean, you could point that to anything. It's interesting that some investigations from 2015, maybe earlier, and all comes out. I wonder what happened. Probably nothing. Yeah, my cousin took himself out about 22 years ago now. Yeah. You could simultaneously have information. Project Ventus James O'Keefe is still going. You can simultaneously have knowledge about something that's probably like damaging to people and still want to kill yourself. That you could be working on something that's greater for society and still want to die. Like, these two things can simultaneously exist. Just because you're working on something, now don't get me wrong, there is definitely things that the government has probably done hits on. People have definitely been mysteriously suicided. Like, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think people just jump to that conclusion because of untimely deaths. The silent... And if you want to get really angry, I mean, people should just... look at Bill Cosby, look at Diddy, look at all the people that get these insane... So, the fact check says that they were not working on a child sex trafficking documentary. I would actually have to go through all this. I'll read it at some point. From what I only remember that's the correlation. The Jmail Trump email seems like the hits are mostly about debt Trump needs to pay back. Yeah, the debts that he needs to pay back because of all the money he took to film stuff. Sergei Kirby, security officer at Russia's UN mission. It could be. I mean, I'm not saying anyone on that list did and or didn't do anything, because names in lists don't mean anything. The only thing I'm saying is if you go to that island more than once, you definitely knew. And if you didn't, you're lying. I would say even the guilty by association is probably... Like, people that have pictures with Jeffrey Epstein, probably not, doing illegal things. Just because you're near him. Rich people meet each other all the time. Even if they're not in the same industry. Back then, that was normal. Like, you just met people. If you had enough money, you just met people. I would even say that some people probably were like, ooh. Like, later, they're like, ooh, gross. I can't believe I met that guy. He sucked. It's kind of like this kid you went to school, you went to high school with. They used to dick around with, and he would always, be chilling. Vice versa, men or women, whoever. They'd be chilling with minors all the time, and you're like, ooh. And they come out later, and they're like a terrible person, and you're like, oh my god, fuck that. I'm glad I did not hang out with him anymore. There was weird people like that I knew. And I was like, yikes. But, again, you can go back to public cases that we have where they get these rich, ultra-rich, wealthy people get insanely low sentencing. I mean, look at Ghislaine Maxwell. She's literally getting the lightest sentence ever, and she knew. There's no definitive reason that she shouldn't be, 6 feet under. There should be zero reason, actually. She shouldn't even be in prison at this point. There's no way she didn't know. That's the one that's crazy to me. And even if she, at this point, leaked all the information, Trump could pardon her. Yeah, I don't know if that's her real name, but I misheard it one time as Ghislaine. I think it's Ghislaine. So I just say Ghislaine now because that's really what she is. She's not a good person. And wouldn't be sad if they disappeared. Because you can't be married to someone like that for that long and not know. You're insane. You're insane if you think that. She shouldn't even be, like I said, she shouldn't be in prison anymore. She should, coin flip on Trump hit or pardon. I think he'll pardon her towards the end. He's not running again. That's why he pardoned Ross Ulbricht. That's why he didn't pardon him in the first term. Most presidents will do insane pardons on their term that they can't run again. I think she'll get pardoned and then get assassinated. I think it's going to be a correlate. I think it's going to be. Sorry, let me rephrase this. I think she'll get pardoned. I'm probably wrong. I'm doing 1%. 1%. This will happen. Like half of a percent actually. She'll get pardoned and then she'll mysteriously kill herself or like get into a car accident or something. Like something crazy. Like you're like, all right, that's a little sus. Like someone forgot to give her fucking heart medication or whatever. Trump is definitely related to the hits Ross was placing. That was actually that was a bogus claim with Ross. The assassination attempts that they said people he was doing, they're like not true or something like that. It's like it's actually like someone does like a really good breakdown of his case, and they're like it's fluff. There's no evidence that he actually tried to like do like any hits out or something like that. It's he got like kind of like an insane. He got like a really insane. I think he got an insane punishment. Should he have done time? Sure, whatever. But his official charge was like operating with no business license or some bullshit. I believe. And I would even say that, but I think this is what's going to happen. He's going to, towards the end, he'll pardon. He only, like I said, he only pardoned because he wanted the libertarian vote, which is actually kind of funny now. They manipulated him, but it came under his username, I believe. It's been too long since I heard this story. Yeah, but I don't think he actually tried to do a hit or anything. I believe that was part of, and I don't think he even got charged for it. Because if that is, he would have had a charge. Like, you know what I mean? I think his main charge was operating, obviously, distributing drugs, quote unquote, or operating without a business license or whatever. Some other crazy shit. Like, this happens quite often with drug people that run darknet sites. That's how they hit them. It's kind of like the tax evasion of Al Capone era, is you just hit people with operating without a business license, and they can hit you with these insane sentences still. But I'm not a lawyer, so it's... I like watching some of these cases because they're interesting. They're just really long and boring after a certain period of time. But I will watch them. There was that one guy with TOR that was running a TOR exit relay, and he's like in prison right now. Evil Dojo told me about him. I was aware of him, but it was interesting. Like, I read his case a little bit more, and I think what they're doing is insane. But the system isn't really for the people. I mean, it's why, even if you act in self-defense, Ultric was accused of paying approximately 73 across. Accused of paying approximately 70 in total across the various solicitations. Accused. But was it confirmed? You can do a lot of accusations. I mean, there's something called ghost weight, where they'll artificially say, like, oh, this is like, there's more weight. Conrad. I think his sentencing is completely bonkers. So there was a guy last year or the year before who was just in public. He was a DoorDash driver, a TikToker or whatever, or YouTube, the low-cal pile of shit that just walks up to people and do pranks. He approaches him. The guy tells him politely to, like, he's like, hey, go away. He keeps getting closer and closer, and he pulls out his gun and shoots him. The other guy ends up living, and the dude still did, even though, in my opinion, I think that is justified because someone is now approaching you when you are clearly trying to do what I would consider your duty to retreat, even though, like, some states have removed that. He would, in my opinion, and from my viewpoint, he was retreating, and the guy wasn't giving up, and he pulls out his gun and he shoots him. And in my opinion, I don't think he should have spent an entire year in jail, but he did. This is why even in self-defense cases, you could spend tens and 20s and 30s and 40s, hundreds, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if you're in the right. So it does suck because that's the point of the prosecutor. Even if they know you're innocent, whatever, blah blah blah, you could literally spend your life savings just defending yourself. The system isn't for the people anymore. This is why lawyers charge arbitrary pricing because they know the law is complicated. I heard there's some tax attorneys I watched just for fun, and they ended up. One guy was like, I like how complicated the tax policies are because it keeps me employed. That's all it is. I mean, if law and taxes and everything was simple, these people wouldn't be able to ask for like these arbitrary prices. And generally, I was supposed to do 30 days for a firearm charge in a legal state. Bail was $5,000. That's insane. 30 days though, if you can talk about it, like, I don't know if you want to talk about it, like, what was the charge? You get a 30-day. I mean, unless it's like a misdemeanor, like where, like I know one of them is like if you fail to inform, if you're a driver and you fail to inform that you have your CPL and your firearm on you, I think it's a misdemeanor. One is like alcohol, a legal firearm under my name. Oh, I figured, like, I think modification of a weapon. Interesting. I know in some states, like Washington's the worst, illegal modification and concealed carry. That's an interesting charge. Illegal modification. Would you have a silencer on it, or what is it? Did you have a Holosun? Did you have a $600 Holosun red dot sight on it? Was it an FRT trigger? Is that? So it's like not really, and yeah, some stuff is like Washington State right now wants to make it so in Washington State it's illegal to 3D print guns at any point. That's insane. They dropped the modification charge. Serial was off. Oh, they dropped the modification charge serial. Oh, you had the serial off. I mean, whatever. That's kind of the serial number is kind of stupid because there's so much that links you to that firearm purchase that it's kind of like it's a ridiculous thing. So some states want you to serialize. You can't like 3D print guns because you have to serialize it. That's illegal. Like you're not allowed to serialize your own gun. Still, the same fingerprints when I fire it, so it wouldn't matter if they wanted to fight it. Still the same finger. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I had the original box. Yeah, like there's so many things that point to, like, when you use a firearm in a crime, it doesn't matter if it's serialized or not. There's so many things that people make mistakes and lead you to the ownership of your gun regardless. Most states require you to, like, and most times when you purchase it, there's a record of it somewhere. Unless you do like I think some state, I don't know all states' laws in terms of like firearms, but if you purchase, you need to take your purchase paperwork. They need to fill out the paperwork. You need to take yours, and you need to go like give it to like the police station, and that's it. You're like, hey, this is my gun now. Sorry, it's over. Like, you know what I mean? There's so much that fits that takes the firearm ownership and it points it to you. It's very hard to actually conceal the identity. I mean, unless you 3D print a gun, obviously, but other things are gonna point to it. I think I read a statistic, if I remember correctly, that most of the time the weapon isn't the thing that leaks you to the crime. Most of the time, it's like everything around the weapon, like the blood. If like you murder someone and Yeah, private sales in most legal states are not required to be documented. Um, that's probably true. I'm not entirely sure. I thought you had to do like a sales receipt, like buyer's purchase or something. It's just suggested. Oh, okay. Interesting. Huh. Well, not in California. Fucking liberal. I'm just kidding. Goddamn California. Better change it to communist for you. Interesting. Probably a good suggestion in some cases. I don't know. In case, like, whatever. The cereal thing is, I've always said that that's a silly thing. I think even, I used to be, like, relatively anti-gun, but after becoming, I guess, woke to the idea of how stupid that is, I think the tax stamp is even retarded. Like, I understand, like, whatever. If states want to impose something silly as a fucking CPL, if states want to impose blah, 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 minus that fucking retarded shit. But really, a tax stamp for a silencer is kind of dumb. Like, they watch movies and they're like, guys, they'll be able to silently kill people. I think it's just insane because it's a tax on people that want to just have a home defense gun. I went on top on TOR. Too young needed that piece on me, homie. Yeah. No, I think most people are like in America, like even like people on the left are like starting to wake up to like realizing that like guns are like they're a tool, as if you remove someone's ability to have a sword back in like say like 1800s, that'd be the equivalent of telling someone they can't have a gun in today's standards. I've generally been a huge advocate for felons being able to vote. I think non-violent felons should be able to get their rights back and get their be able to purchase firearms once they enter society. And if they were violent at one point and they can prove like they've redeemed themselves to a non-violent person in society, I think they should be able to get their access to their firearms again. I would even say Washington State, I found out there's an interesting story of a guy who did a 5150. He did a 5150, but he didn't self-admit. It was when he was a minor. I think it was forced admission. 20 years later or something insane, like an insane amount of time later, he has like a family and stuff. And for you guys who don't know what a 5150 is, it's like when you try to unalive yourself. You kill yourself. You try to kill yourself. I don't like to say the word unalive because I think that's gay. And I think we need to stop using like censored. Illegal modification as a felony concealed carry was a state charge, corrupt Hicks. Yeah, I know there's some... Well, how did they drop the serialization thing? Like, what made them drop it? That's interesting. I would say even... but he tried to do like a 5150. Tried to do a 5150. He became better. He became mentally sound person as an adult. They're like, I'm talking like, psychiatrist was like, he's good. Under Washington's state law, can never own a firearm. They would have to send the case to the feds. Oh, and I started laughing. Oh. Probably lack of paperwork or whatever, or just like give us your weapon and have a nice day kind of. I mean, sometimes like there is, I would say a good thing where, your state officials and like etc. are lazy and they're like, I don't want to do this. And a state charge might make more sense because it's faster and they can get their money or something. Interesting. I've never I had... Oh, you had prop money on you too? Oh, That's kind of interesting. Yeah, prop money I think it's legal. Like, actually, I've never understood states that where you could get your Med card, but you couldn't get your. They were like, I'm gonna call Secret Service. Oh, that's funny. I'd laugh too. I'd laugh too at that. Honestly, I'd be like, okay, like, what are you gonna? Literally says for motion picture use. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware of YN's brother. I would even say that as I've gotten older, I've taken less, like when like law enforcement threats makes like empty threats, I take it less serious. Unless because I'm an adult now, like I know my rights, and I think people should know their rights, and I think people should exercise them. Like my favorite was you could flick off, like you could give a cop the middle finger if you want. They can't do anything about it. It's protected speech. And I was having this discussion with a random citizen one day, and I was like, do you realize that, like, people being able to say fuck their civil servants, the people that sign up for this, that my tax dollars are going to, and I could go on a huge rant about why I hate qualified immunity, etc., and the fact that they can legally lie to you. It's being a police officer is a choice, and it's not a popularity contest. They shouldn't be so thin-skinned and in a position of power, because they're trying to defend like this black the blue thing, like back the blue, which I think is really the gayest thing on the planet. And it's always with the Punisher logo. I don't know why. Like I don't think these people have ever seen the Punisher either. The Punisher definitely did not like police. If you go rewatch the show, he didn't like the state in general. He didn't like the government pretty much at all. But beyond that, in New York, if you flip off a cop, 9-10 chance they stomp you out, or you win a law. You're gonna win that lawsuit, baby. Hell yeah! I'll watch like those like First Amendment auditors, and I'm like, man, I realize, and people say like these people are damaging society because it's tax dollars that are paying for this. We'll get rid of the police unions and qualified immunity, and that will stop happening, and cops will stop fucking around. I personally think if a cop violates your rights, you should pull it from their pension immediately. They should get whatever they violated on you, whatever damage they did to you, their pension gets sucked out until you feel that it's necessary to stop. And even better, make sure it comes out personally out of their pocket. I know our tax dollars go towards them and pay them, but make sure that they lose their job and lose that tax dollar money, and then the next job they get, not a police officer, the next job they get, that gets garnished until like it's repaid. In my opinion, I think that it's insane that they can violate the law, and that's generally my belief system on it. Is they can violate the law and they have no financial consequence. They get relocated, promotion, move on, kind of thing. Or they just get thrown on, forever leave and collect money forever. So it's a corrupt system. I have some other opinions. Like, I don't think they should have life partners. I think they should have to rotate. I think cops should have to rotate partners constantly, randomly, actually, because then it prevents you from creating a brotherhood where you now have maybe less trust. That's like another big one. They get these lifetime partners. They all remember like the like 5 or 6 were like fucking that one police officer. It was just weird. They were like all like fucking the same person. That's weird. That's like because they build this bond and they don't care. It's like an oath to each other, not an oath to the law. And that's my problem with Back to Blue. I think they're sensitive and gay. And they ever watch The Punisher, definitely. And I actually understand that people hate the idea of defunding the police. They get up in their feelings when they hear that. They're like, a clipboard is going to show up and stop the stab. Like, stuff like that. Like, that's the dumbest take ever. I think that they should take, because people keep saying like more funding. New York, if anyone that lives in New York, I'm pretty sure you know the budget. I think New York has one of the highest budgets for cops. It's like $1 billion. And he was supposed to be paying out at least $100K to me in a few weeks. Hopefully, shame it's coming out of my own and others. So. There's a cop in New York, still employed, not only still employed, still fucking around and finding out, has hit, I think, 3 people with his vehicle. And I found out New York cops make like up to like $200K a year. People think that cops don't make money. They make stupid money. Those motherfuckers get paid. Maybe not in like some of the super crime-ridden areas, like the worst crime cities, but New York, big cops love the union. They'll always talk shit about the union, but they love it. Some of those motherfuckers are making like 150 to 200K. It's crazy, and it's a shame that it's coming out of taxpayers. But don't let them get away with it. I think, what is the average? They were trying to flex their cars on me. Idiots, didn't even drive them. What is the average New York cop pay? There was that Long Island auditor. He found out one guy was just stealing time. I'm not going to get any information. Only cop I trust is Professor Hobbs from Zootopia. They can make 59. They start. I don't think I can't physically and mentally continue with the lawsuit, to be honest. My lawyers are the only one with me for the settlement. Of course, they're not there because they fucking care. You might find some good lawyers that are like, they generally hate the system and they want to see it burnt to the ground. And I'm assuming I've seen people go through lawsuits with like the state. I mean, some of the people that do it for a living, like First Amendment auditors, the mental like gymnastics you have to listen to. It has got to be infuriating to like a certain degree.
.locut.us port 3133. You're welcome to find it. You can play around with it. You can see contracts. You can see events as they occur. There's a timeline. You can scroll around. They
should have added a Matrix theme to this. That would have been based. But it's it's mentally draining because I think a lot of people want quote unquote safer society. They want to be able to just walk around, do what they want. But once you realize that law enforcement doesn't stop people from doing crime, laws barely prevent crime. I've always treated law, like extreme laws and punishment, like a lock. it deters some people, but some people just don't give a fuck. And capital punishment isn't the answer either. There are states with the highest capital punishment, and they still have terrible fucking crime. I heard on and off the record on this settlement Zoom call. Yeah, sure, buddy. The Zoom call is off the record. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure, buddy. Yeah, exactly. Never trust anything you see with, unless, never trust anything that a judge or a law enforcement officer would ever say. They will lie to you, and it will backfire. It's like you're playing Chinese checkers and they're playing 4D chess, naked and afraid.
And it kind of went a little bit nuts with the dashboard, but I love dashboards. This is really the having built peer-to-peer things for 26 years. This is the dashboard I always dreamed of having.
It is a good dashboard. W for the dashboard in chat, guys. Thanks for the engagement.
And so it's pretty neat. And we have built a really a proof of concept application.
This is cool. I'll have to test this out for the homies and see if that works. We're going to talk about metadata, the thing that I talk about the most. This is going to be a very easy thing to understand. This is very detrimental for the people that say metadata. They're like, I'm going to just use TOR, or I'm just going to sit and jerk my balls. Because metadata is one of the core principles on how law enforcement attacker adversaries definitely 100% catch people. And you should take these OPSEC failures and apply them to advertisers, social media apps, hackers, whatever you demean as a threat. You got to take your threat model, you got to pull it out into scope, and you got to be like, what matters to me? And if you don't find out what matters to you, and you don't have a threat model, then you're really just installing software and just kind of like, you're fucking like high-class hookers without a condom. While probably okay and safe, but at the end of it, you're still fucking a hooker without a condom. Probably not the best option. Your OPSEC your failures are going to be without condoms. You should always wrap up and make sure that you always got that thing on you. Is what I would. You know what I tell the people when they pull up. They're like, "You got that thing on you?" And they're like, "Yeah, man." So, regardless, I digress. I'm going to grab some water, and we are going to talk about metadata. It is a detrimental to privacy, even though the OPSEC Bible might say otherwise or whatever. I don't know. I didn't pre-read because I'm based like that. I read as we go. Sometimes I don't read. Sometimes I can't read because I'm retarded. But I'm going to look for some copyright-free music that I won't get hit by YouTube. And I will... My drink froze in the freezer. Fuck. Just put it between your balls, man. You have a natural heater right there. Okay. Water. I should get one of those water dispensers next to me. A full water filtration system via water line. Okay. Spilled my shit after defrosting it on the sack. Oh man, they got my Jeepus. Jerking my Jeepus. Alright, why is metadata detrimental to my privacy? We recommend you use SimpleX as they solve the metadata problem. TLDR. Maybe. I don't know if SimpleX is still relevant. They say it is. Introduction. In an age where government surveillance has become unsurprising, people are starting to turn to more private and secure methods of navigating the digital world. So that the question remains, what is actually private and secure way to communicate online? Before the tutorial starts, we will first need to understand the core concepts of what we're discussing. What is privacy? We know what privacy is. Want to go out to dinner? Sure, I'd love to. Communication between them. No one knows what they are talking about. Jack cannot hear the conversation but can view the metadata. Instead of a classic brick wall separating Jack, Bob, Alice, there is a glass wall. Jack can now see the whole talking, whom to whom, how long the conversation is, when and where it takes place, and this gives Jack a significant higher chance of success rate by guessing what Bob and Alice are talking about. And that's true. So, like, timing-based attacks is like one of the most common exploits that they'll do. They'll like try to de-anonymize you because like your time zone now correlates to what area you're in. The world isn't flat, guys. Sorry to break it to you. If you think the world is flat, don't know what to tell you. So these people will be like, all right, they're in XYZ time zone. So there's only like, say we go from 50 states to 25. Now I have less searching to do. And then say, well, we know what type of tree is in this time zone. Like say it's like palm trees or something. Well, now it goes down to like 5 states from 25. Now I only have 5 states to determine. Well, they type like they're from this state. They use the slang word only used in this state where it's common. Not only, but like it's common. So now I have a state. From time to like the way you talk, the way you type, the typing speed, all these things are ways to de-anonymize you because it's unique. People, as much as they don't want to say it, we're all unique humans. We all have habits. We're all unique in a certain way. There might be, some NPCs and carbon copy people out there, but we're all very unique in what we do. Like Corvette camping, he might actually own a Corvette. He might get coffee at 7 in the morning from fucking Tim Hortons or whatever. And he might be the only one that does that in his state at 7 in the morning and gets a pack of cigarettes at 7:45 because his commute is an hour. And now we know like these tiny details might correlate to what state he lives in, because only a psycho would fucking from Connecticut would do that, like shit like that. Like it may seem like minute details, but details matter. And remember, the government has an infinite amount of time to catch you. They have case files, they have infinite money, they have unlimited time. And not just them, hackers too, like adversaries, government agents, like advertisers. They have all this time and money in the world, and you only can fuck up once. You can't fuck up twice. So keep that in mind. So instead of why is privacy important, but why is privacy important? Privacy is important because it protects individuals' anonymity, allowing people to make decisions and express themselves freely without the fear of judgment or surveillance. Is privacy a glass box good enough? Yeah, I mean, not really, because if you think about it, if you're doing stuff privately, but the whole world can see it, then it doesn't really become... We can't hear what you're doing, but we can still see what you're doing. We could still see that, Corvette Camping spilled his frozen drink on his balls, and I don't think he wants the world to see that. The problem with metadata in communications: who, when, where, how, and the size. The size of the communication of the file, the message length, the file attachment, how the device or platform used the consumption, operating system, app version, device type, where, information about where the sender and recipient were, GPS location, IP address, timestamps of when the communication took place, time of day during the interaction. Message sent, all this information can be collected through a message app that doesn't care about your privacy. They obviously use this so that your message can be known that it's delivered. It's like a convenience factor, and we live in different time zones. So it's like, hey, Bob lives in time zone A and Alice lives in time zone C. How can they reach each other? Blah blah blah, and etc. etc. And for seeing your messages and all these other things that modern internet is done upon. Oh, thank you, Corvette. Having appreciate you becoming a leveled member of as a federal honeypot. So, oh, not true. They let the Epstein fuck up 100 million times. Well, the thing is, Epstein fucked up because he probably wasn't aware of PGP encryption. He probably wasn't thinking that this was going to get leaked because he had a lot of money. I mean, there is something called the ego factor. There was that hacker, the guy that ran Incognito or something like that. He ran like a darknet market, and he was overly cocky and confident. But he literally leaked so much metadata it wasn't even hard to find him. He leaked. He bragged to people that he was running this. He had his Google Maps turned on for something, and like they could see like his location where he was like at all times. Like you can go look at Mental Outlaw. He does a video on him. The guy was retarded, making millions of dollars, but he was a big fucking retard, and it was like mainly his ego that killed him because he was again bragging to other people like that he was doing this. Another one was Ross Ulbricht's biggest OPSEC failure is he used Gmail and he was telling people about the site, and his Gmail was his first and last fucking name. He was like, hey guys, check out my site. And it was his first and last name as a Gmail. That's retarded. But we learned from it, and that's a good thing because we learned from it. We're allowed to have this this time capsule of like where can we learn from their mistakes and how can we correct them and make them and become better. Not to do crime, but how to evade the, I guess, like the advertising surveillance capitalism, if you want to call it that. Or even like situations where we have Ring doorbells and Flock and all these other things that are trying to collect our data, Palantir, I mean, et cetera, et cetera. Money and status allow people to become complacent. Yeah. I think complacency is one of the biggest ones. There was actually a guy I was watching. He became like a from bad hacker to good hacker kind of story. He remembered his seed phrase for his Bitcoin wallet or something so that no one else could ever crack it. He remembered the entire seed phrase in order. That's impressive, and that's pretty extreme. That's pretty extreme OPSEC. Like, no one knows it. No one knows it. You don't know it. When people ask you, you're like, I don't know. But that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's a lot of words. I know I could never. I'm too retarded. I get paranoid. I move. If I own Monero, I would move it around in multiple wallets consistently so that it just doesn't stick in one place, and I would spend it. But I would say that but some the best hackers and best OPSEC are the people you don't know about. I believe no one knows who Hugbunter is, from what I understand, the guy from Dread. To my knowledge, that is kind of cool though to have such like a large known site, and people just don't know who you are. And he's probably just some guy or girl just sitting like at a coffee shop right now, and or working at McDonald's, and they're bored. The guy that was running Breacher Forums was like some high school, like just some dude in high school who logged into the site or his email one time from Verizon. I always argue with my friends about Zcash versus Monero, metadata and encryption. Yeah, Zcash is terrible. It's not privacy by default. I think it's Gamma Goblin. I don't know what a Gamma Goblin is, but I'm just saying from an OPSEC standpoint. I talked to the person that was doing Pristinium, which was like the I2B version of Tails. They were like super paranoid about everything. I tried getting an interview with him because it was just cool, but he was like, I don't do like vocal interviews. I'll do like this in like a email format, like a question, like ask your questions and I'll answer anything kind of thing. Which I mean that's just how they operate, and then they disappeared, unfortunately. I would say that metadata is very important. And encryption, you don't necessarily have to encrypt everything yourself. You can use just good software that does it. PGP does have its limitations because it can't encrypt the metadata, like the whole system. Getting in and out right now. Oh God. Please don't be a Baconator. The real question is, if you were to pick Wendy's, what would you pick from Wendy's? And if it's a Baconator, killers. If one more person says Baconator, I swear to God. I'll fight Wendy's, personally myself. I've never had In-N-Out. They look, they pay their employees like pretty well. Like they're pretty good. Why is that hidden in top chat? What do you mean? I'm not on YouTube right now. I mean, I'm not on the YouTube. Oh, they do. Oh, they have a Baconator. Well, if you get a Baconator, then if you're a Baconator enjoyer, only execution will solve this. I would have to see. Oh, I'm not entirely sure. Why? Huh. That's interesting. I spend a lot more time on Restream. I am testing some free and open source option out there, but it's like super new and they didn't really answer a question I had on how they handle the API key. Like, I have stream keys that I use, obviously, like a normal person, because that's how most people do it, because you can recycle them. Like, you not recycle them, you can rotate through them and get new ones if you want, if you're, like, worried. And I was like, hey, how do you guys handle the stream keys? It's free and open source, and I'm not, like, a developer or anything, but I was like, how do you handle probably in and out? I probably see Sam Sensor. So like I asked them how they handle their API keys, and they didn't tell me. They didn't answer, or I just missed it through notifications. I hope they answer me at some point. That'd be kind of cool, because Restream's cool, but I want something that's open source and not 6 years outdated like the other one that people like keep recommending me. Okay. Was even the purpose metadata wasn't inherently made for bad actors to gain information about you? kind of know that. Like takes picture gets taken, and then now a part of that it can use to identify and de-anonymize you. Now that we're understand metadata, let's talk about it. Distributed denial of secrets had published documents showing the sensor working in real time to identify threats on YouTube. It was pretty crazy. Can't find it now. Documents showing that sensor working in real time to identify threats on YouTube. Huh. I'll have to check that out. That sounds kind of cool. Even though it's like dystopian, it's cool to read about this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, interesting. How do they do this? Yeah, if you think about it, like this is how McAfee, I think, got captured, or like they found out where he was because he took a picture and they stripped out the metadata from the camera, like the picture, the photo itself, because it was uploaded on a site that didn't strip it out. This was like prior to the internet like being like, well, that's probably a bad thing to have. It was classified document. I think it's illegal to search for it. Everything's illegal. Remember, everything is illegal to search for. Time to identify threats on YouTube. It was pretty crazy. Or, you know, interesting. Well, I would never search for that, so I would never intentionally find that. That's interesting. Distributed denial of secret. I think, isn't that a site? Now, apart from it can also be used to identify and de-anonymize you, now we understand metadata. Let's talk about the major threat. Why is metadata detrimental to privacy? Metadata has compromised privacy in the past, and it will continue to do so in the future. Let's say Bob takes a photo of a coffee shop, a park, and his home. Bob excitedly shares these photos on his public blog page and is eager to take some more. What Bob hasn't revealed is in his blog page is that he's an admin for a popular drug site on the dark net. Oh, they got raided or something. I don't know. I think I do remember that. Probably clapped by the feds. Yeah, definitely. You're gonna pull up that site and it's gonna have that beautiful logo. This site has been seized. My favorite logo, by the way. Camera metadata, location. I think there's still sites that probably do this too. Like they forget to incorporate some form of scrubbing. You should always scrub your metadata yourself and then upload it, even if a site says they're going to do it. In 2019, a famous Strava fitness app accidentally revealed the locations of secret military bases around the world. I remember this. This was crazy. Actually, I think someone even discovered beforehand Strava was like you could stalk people with this. I think it was 404 Media. They like proved that you can stalk people with this app. It had like a I would say a bug where it didn't ask explicit permission for you to find other peers, and you could just find them. Like you could find their exact location, where they were going, like their trail and stuff, and then they fixed it. They're like, oopsies. The point was that is that metadata kills. It can give away more information about your activities than you want. So with that being said, how can we design communication systems to protect against metadata exposure? It's true. How can you? Necessary design choice to limit metadata clients apps. The first and more important design choice is no personal information needed to sign up. If the chat application requires a phone number to register, then you can forget about using it anonymously and using it for sensitive activities like course out of the question. I kind of disagree with that because you can get, at least in the United States, you can obtain an anonymous number that doesn't require any personal identifiable information in the United States, and you can even buy it with cash and or Monero in some cases. I think people should still opt for Signal than SMS at all points. SMS is not encrypted. It's garbage. And I'm not talking about oh, the feds just need the metadata, they don't need the contents of the message. I agree with that. I'm talking about advertisers, hackers, people you just don't want to have your information, and most importantly, your cell phone provider spying on your fucking clear text messages. Session doesn't support perfect word secrecy. They're supposed to implement it in version 2. I don't know if it's been fully implemented yet. If it has, I would recommend Session again. I still don't like the concept that they require a high cost for their nodes to run them. I think the LokiNet is relatively stupid idea because it's not really doing anything different besides paying its users. In a sense, there are better alternative options that don't require 25,000 fucking Oxen tokens in order to function. I think that was retarded as well. And I believe they were, I don't think they are anymore. At a time, they were hosted in Australia. And I was like, oh, hell no. That's even worse. I don't have bots spamming me on Session, at least. Yeah, that's a good thing. I think there are good things about Signal and Telegram are terrible. Signal is definitely better than Telegram. I don't have bots spot me because I don't, for Signal, I just don't allow people to search me up for contact. And I use Molly anyways, but I don't have, I turn off finding me via like I don't make it known that I have Signal from people to just search for my number or like my, what do you call it? My username. That's the first step I made. The second step, I just ignore it. I don't ever get spam on Signal, surprisingly. I still think normies should use it. If your friends are like trying to use fucking SMS versus Signal, Signal's a million times better than your ISP getting all your ISP, well, not your ISP, your telecom provider getting all your information and fucking selling it and God knows what else. Signal is just a good standard. Like it's a default normie standard. I think the more people that get on Signal, the better it gets. It's kind of like the more people that use Tutanota or Proton, the better it gets because end-to-end encryption matters. It matters from a leaking standpoint. Like, I don't think people realize that Signal isn't there to fight against the federal investigation and authorities. I think there's other tools out there that have their use case, and you can criticize Signal for the number thing, but at the same time, it's like, what's better, SMS, dog shit, unencrypted SMS, or Signal, and it's not vendor locked. You don't have to have an iPhone to do it. You don't have to have an Android to do it. It just works, kind of thing. That's my argument for it. And some people want to be verified. Like there's journalists that need to be contacted. I've contacted some issues I have with Signal regarding like a warranty issue because they're on Signal, and I was like, oh, based. And it was just more easy and more convenient. And I can delete the messages later. Yeah, sure, they could snapshot it, but, just saying. Lack of Signal and Session stopped working on Tails and WHONIX. Haven't checked that recently though. I don't know about Signal on WHONIX or Session. Session would probably be a bad because if it actually, I think it still uses TOR. This results in doing TOR twice, and I think that makes it unique, and it's actually advised not to. I don't think I don't think Session is totally into the Loki net yet, but I could be wrong by now. I haven't used them in a long time. Once they dropped perfect for secrecy, which I think does matter. Most people agree that it's better to have than not. To further evaluate this, let's look at a case from Santa Clara County. Issued a subpoena to Signal. Signal was able to confirm metadata such as the user's phone number, login dates, and other relevant information. February 5th, search warrant requested account records, subscriber information between July 14th and July 3rd of 2023. Defined a Unix timestamp for which when each account was created, the date last account was created. Signal for 2 phone numbers. Upon their receipt, search warrants were it sets all the nodes in your home country. Pretty much, it uses if you use it long enough. Okay. The hop session goes through is already sus. Not gonna lie. I think they use Tor still. I think they still use the Onion layer network. But the nodes are not, they're like, people are like running those nodes, but they have to put up a lot of capital to do it. To further evaluate this, let's look at this case. Accounts were created. Upon receipt of the 2 search warrants, we search Signal systems for response records. Signal only possesses responsive records for the 3 of 9 phone numbers. The response information that Signal possesses was blank, UTC code. As you can see, the chatting apps like Signal can and will share metadata about you to law enforcement when needed, making metadata valuable to anonymity. I agree that they're going to. They're a company, so I'm not insanely shocked that they are. Last but not least, there must be the minimal data retention. If any data exists to be collected, it must be held in their servers for a minimal time only. A good example of this is SimpleX. For the minimal data they keep, it's only stored for 48 hours. On the decentralized network, once the time has passes, they're gone forever. So which apps fulfill these criteria? Just to name a few: SimpleX, XMPP plus OMEMO, Onion Share Chat, and Jitsi Meet. Wow, Jitsi Meet, did not know that. None of these applications require any personal information. They don't collect metadata and don't have any minimal data retention policy. Now let's take a deep look at the app Signal. Despite its strong encryption, it still collects significant data. Prying on metadata despite implementation of end-to-end encryption. Well, you might ask, how does Signal even collect metadata despite offering end-to-end encryption? Consider the scenario. A group of anti-ICE protesters are protesting anonymously on the streets. The group of the protesters use Signal to communicate with each other. While the content of the message remains a mystery, the metadata behind it, like a phone number, are still frequently contacts, still remain vulnerable. Let's say Bob is apprehended by the police. His phone is seized and they discover the Signal is installed. With a subpoena, the police can easily retrieve the phone number linked to Bob's Signal account. They discover Bob talks to you most frequently. One specific phone number stands out, so the police investigate further. It turns out that this number belongs to Mike, an accomplice of Bob during the protests. Since the phone number indicates that Mike was there in the same area as the protest at the time, it's safe to assume that Mike was involved in the crowd as well. As you can see, the seizure of Bob's phone is not only leads to his own arrest, but also Mike's. By obtaining relevant information, the police were able to identify who was behind the crowd of protests, especially since those numbers were associated with the area of the protest that took place at the time. This leads back to my initial example. It's like a glass box. While the content of your conversation may be encrypted and readable on the outside, the metadata surrounding the conversation is still visible. This is a good theory. I do think that it's a good thought, and I kind of agree with it, to a degree. You should use SimpleX if you care about privacy because it solves metadata problems and provides correct encryption to ensure your privacy. Privacy is not a privilege, it's a right. Take action for your privacy. SimpleX is currently the closest we can get to private anonymity digital communication. In contrast, the signal is already minimized metadata. The already minimized metadata is stored on the servers for a maximum of 48 hours before permanently. It is kind of my only thoughts on it is that I think people shouldn't bring their phones to protest in general. And my last thought on it is, in hindsight, Signal should still be recommended to people, and mainly normies, people that aren't doing stuff that might be illicit in its nature. But if you go to a protest, you should not bring your phone at all and record on a regular camera. And I think cameras might even have locks on it. I don't know. But if you do bring your phone, burner phones don't exist. Bring a phone with Graphene OS on it that has no attachment to you. It's probably the best option for protesting. Graphene OS, no SIM card, and connect to public Wi-Fi. And then put a Duras pin on it. I would say I could probably do like a 5 to 6 minute video on it, but I would have to understand the laws around the problem is, from what I understand, is like ICE is, because it's not a federal actual way that federal agencies work. It's doing civil matters, and because it's civil matters, there's no Fourth Amendment rights. You have like, it's complicated. I've listened to a lot of legal theories on ICE and blah blah blah. But if you're at these protests in general, you should just install Graphene OS and remove any personal identifiable information from it, like wipe it clean, make sure it's never been connected to like your house, obviously paid for it in cash. I mean, there's some other nuance, and have a Duras pin installed. No fingerprint, because I believe fingerprints biometric unlocking is zero protection in the United States, so it's probably not the best option. But it is something to think about when people are exercising their rights, etc., etc. Well, guys, I've given 3 hours and 21 minutes, more than I thought I would. Super based that everyone joined. I appreciate everyone that joined and contributed their thoughts and comments below, so that YouTube knows not only am I a real person, that I love all their policies and nothing they ever do is wrong. They're super awesome. I love all the ads that get delivered straight to the brain. And don't forget, customs can force you to unlock encryption at the border too if they find a hidden volume. Yeah, but you're leaving the country. That makes sense. I mean, you're going into another country, so I actually understand that. From a legal standpoint, you have no rights when you leave your country to another one. So I would say wipe your phone. Actually, I have a routine I go through when I'm leaving the country and with my phone, and how I handle it. I have a video on it, kind of, where I talk about what I do. In a sense, when I travel with Graphene OS, I've changed since then. Maybe I'll do like an updated video on what I do with my phone when I leave the country. It's a lot more simpler, but there's things you can do. But I appreciate everyone stopping by, and I appreciate everyone putting their input into the comment section. Remember to comment below your favorite. Let me think. I have to think of one now. What is your favorite flower? That is the most important one. If you don't know your favorite flower, you will get 5,000 years of bad luck. And don't forget to walk your snail. You will be cursed until the end of time. Again, appreciate you.